Good morning, everybody. Welcome to London Station. We're doing Discovery Corps stuff today. We're back with Household. We're going back in the house. Back in the house we go. As I mentioned in all of my postings and etc., we spent last stream looking at Household, and the vibe was so strong and good that about halfway through the stream I said, you know what? We're not even going to touch the mechanics today. We're going to do that another day. And so here we are, doing that another day. Glad to see you all. Hope you had a safe 4th of July and a fun time. I hope you continue to have a good weekend. Look at all those reactions. Oh my gosh. Morning, Pixel. How you doing? Anna's here. Good to see you. We had D Priest dropping in. We've got Zach here. It's funny. I almost pronounced it Zakari because I said it after D Priest, and D Priest sometimes calls you Zakari. Yeah. Good morning. Good morning. Love y'all. Good to see you. I am still safe as far as wildfires are concerned. They have gotten the fire near me down to, or up to, 13% containment, although it is hitting 87,000 acres now, so I must say Pixel was here before me. Well. It's true. The early chat goblins. I had to start stream countdown early just so I could play with you guys, have a little fun. Anyhow, yes, fire seems to be they're getting a handle on it. It seems that they've kept it largely from hitting other larger settlements. Of course, homes and cabins and things that were up in the mountains gone. So yeah, it was 6% last night and up to 13% today. So we will take it. We will take it. And as far as my area, completely unaffected, blessedly. No power outages, nothing of that sort, so it's been good. Look, I terribly painted my nails. I'm not good at it at all, but I tried it because I still don't know. I'm like, I don't know if I care. I don't know if this is for me, so I give it a shot. I also have blue eyeshadow on. See, it's blue. It's blue. It's too bad you can't really. I don't know. You can tell. You can kind of tell. My screen is very small, so is what it is. Anyhow, without further ado, like I was saying, I hope you're all doing well. We're going to switch on over to the PDF view, and that should go smoothly, I think. Oh, so smooth. So smooth. Nail art is an art. Do not feel bad. Nowhere did I say that I felt bad. I just stated that objectively I'm terrible at it. It is very blue? Yes. Okay, awesome. There's a reason I let Cheeky do mine now. Nice. Nice. Send her over. Send her right over. I would not mind that. Hello, Thaddeus. How are you doing? We didn't start without you. We couldn't. We simply couldn't. Thaddeus is the household king. It does mean you can get good at it. Oh, I see. I see what you're saying. Yeah. I've already improved. I already took... I did one hand the other day, and then I bought some more colors yesterday because I discovered the clearance cosmetics section, and I got some stuff. I did the other hand. That was terrible, and then I undid and redid this hand, and it went better. So tips, sure. Yeah. Got videos to watch, too. Good morning, Gil. How you doing? Do you want me to call you Gil on stream, or do you want me to call you Hungry Yeti? Or anywhere else? Good to see you either way. Oh, I was going to play some musica in the background. There we go. Now, okay, so this is my current go-to just playlist of I'm not going to get copyright struck. Old school Tales of Symphonia soundtrack that I just happened to have. I had to remake the playlist because I think it was trying to pull a bunch of the tracks from my file server, which is disconnected, and that's why it was not getting all the variety. So that means that all the crazy battle music is back in here, and so I'm going to be chipping away and pulling those back out of the playlist as we encounter them. So bear with us on that. Sometimes the battle music is a banger, though, and we're going to be talking about mechanics today, so maybe it'll be good. It's a dangerous section. What's the dangerous section? Oh, yeah, it is. How many things did I buy last night? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think I only bought 7. About 7 things. But, you know, I got stuff to play with now. I'm figuring out this lip gloss situation. It's wild. It's wild. Anyway, I know you're here for RPGs, but as I said in a stream the other day, I think it was on Friday, one of my 2 streams, I was just like, this is a trans channel. And I was like, I've never really said that before, but like, you know, it is what it is. You're all going through this journey with me, whether you like it or not. So, let's see. We ended... What did we do? We did chapter 1. I don't recall doing this character section, did we? No, we didn't. So this is where we're going to pick back up, is right here in chapter 2. So we must have only done chapter 1, and then we went to contracts. We skimmed equipment and wealth, I think. We went to household history, and we went to the house, I think. So we kind of jumped around. So this is where we're going to start out today and get a sense for how we build a character, which will tell us, we hope, how we play the game. So there you have it. All right, I'll read some of this out loud, sort of the in-character stuff. Of course, the whole thing's in character. If you recall, or if you didn't see the first household stream, okay, this is wild. This book is a reprint of a teeny tiny little book that was discovered, and the book, including the rules for playing the game, are true in the world. And that was actually, like, mind-blowing to me. This book and the game used to play out the story of these 5 years in Household's history are played by the little people in Household. And we, humans, found it and reprinted it into this form so that we could do and turned it into a PDF. So you can go full suspension of disbelief and be like, this is all real. And we're playing pretend, but this is all real. So it's a pretty cool little thing. Pretty cool. Gil's always fine. Hungry Yeti's just laziness on not changing my name in every server. Yeah. That's great. No way. I think you're actually my first trans femme friend. I have several trans mask friends. Ooh. Get to be somebody's first trans femme friend. Well, I think I'm probably around here locally. I'm sure I'm a lot of people's first trans femme, like, coworker, and etc. So it's all good. Anyhow, we got to be real. We gotta be real with ourselves. Also, I think I'm doing okay, but in case you don't know, you're always welcome to use the voice command and remind me to do my voice training. I get to learn more about different perspectives. Yeah, it's a fun part of the community that's kind of emerged, that we have a lot of, I guess, you know, gender non-conforming individuals, and we have a lot of really robust conversations about that stuff in our Discord server, but I think most of you are already there, so you know that already. Anyhow, I don't really know you, but if you've made it this far, at least I know we have something in common, our desire to tell a story, better yet, to tell history. In this book, I pieced together the lives and deeds of many characters who lived through incredible adventures, but who knows how many were left out. That's where you come in. If you know, either personally or through hearsay, of a littling whose deeds are worthy to be remembered, you can make them your character. Together with the narrator and the other players, your task will then be to relive their life and retell their story, one chapter at a time. Thank you. Cadence. Wow, I'm not even thinking about cadence. Good, I'm glad. I'm glad it's coming out naturally. So, okay, here's the other cool thing about this. Not only is this book a reprint of an actual tiny book that these littlings would actually have in the house that was discovered, but also the gameplay itself is supposed to emulate the lost histories and the untold stories of characters within a very specific 5-year period. So I was talking with Thaddeus about this last night, about how, you know, when we look at these mechanics today, how will I know if the mechanics serve the game well or not? And really, I was feeling like, so I'll kind of just rehash what I was talking with him about last night, is this game is really open with its lore and its setting, and you could probably take any number of mechanical approaches to this setting and have a really great game come out of it. You could probably do Legend in the Mist with this setting, you could probably do D&D 5e with this setting, you could probably do Pathfinder with this setting, you could probably do all sorts of things with this setting. Of course, you'd have to make, you know, custom ancestries and fill out all the character options and stuff, but as far as the mechanical system, there's nothing really pushing us towards any particular resolution style. And yet, there kind of is, because the one thing that is true of this game is that we are supposed to be playing through the lives of the less remarkable characters that didn't get their names and deeds explicitly written in the history of the house. And so we need mechanics that help us tell stories of the small people, right? So if the mechanics help us do that, great. If the mechanics are super over the top heroic to the point where you're like, well, why is my character such a badass but never got written down in the history? And now you're circumventing and trying to come up with a reason why they were omitted from the history. If you care about this sort of thing, but please try to care about this sort of thing. It's what the whole game's about. That's my thought. Yes. Okay. So the character sheet. We're gonna skim here. We're gonna have a name, a folk. Those are the peoples that we looked at last stream. Also, sorry I didn't have this blown up. My bad. Note your hereditary contract. I like how this says note. It's like you don't choose it, but it is a part of what folk you are. And sub-folk if you're what is it? It's the sprites that have the 3 different kinds: the Undinis, the Salamanders, and the Sylphs. Choose a nation of origin. Choose a profession and vocation. Note your field and skill points. Add 4 skill points. Choose your traits and moves. Note the aces up your sleeve. Note your wealth and equipment. Note your level of decorum. Write your prologue. Choose 1 memory. Choose which languages you know. This is actually quite a lot. This is not lightweight. I would say this is probably already is demonstrating at least as much mechanical complexity as Blue Rose did, which Blue Rose I felt was kind of a streamlined 3.5-ish era game. So we are going to have skills and points and everything that goes along with it, so we'll see. I've been thinking about a TTRPG that's designed to play in your actual house. You could adapt to this for sure. For sure. Yeah, let's get into it. So folk and nation. Okay, we went over the folk last stream. Go check that out if you didn't see it. We went deep into the vibe of these guys. And then there you go. If you are a sprite, choose the elemental group. Those are the 3 I just said. And you get your hereditary contract. Okay, so here's the nations. The nations are the realm, which is the dining hall. And that is ruled by the fairies, if I'm not mistaken. The hearth is the living room. That's ruled by the boggarts. The free dominions on the upper floor is ruled by the sprites. And the horde in the basement is ruled by the slaw. And that is how we have chosen to pronounce slaw in this channel. Profession and vocation, we have soldier, scholar, hunter, criminal, duelist, and animal handler. This is neat that this gets its own thing, but I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised when we get to this section because, you know, the animals are normal size and the littlings are little. So you have very unique interactions with these animals that you don't get in standard normal TTRPGs. You know, bumblebees and mice and things like that. So we'll take a look. Let's see. First of all, your profession grants you a completely unique profession-specific trait. So we don't know what traits do yet, but it sounds like it's going to be some sort of tagging system that you can invoke. Slaw supremacy. Yeah, they are cool. They are the cool ones. They're kind of the edgy outcasts, you know, who wandered and then got magic stuff happen to their blood. So they're pretty cool. Okay, profession gives you access to a move of your choice from a list. Now, this is interesting and daring that they used this word because move is so tightly associated with Powered by the Apocalypse games. We'll see what they mean by move. Once you've chosen a profession, the next step is choosing one of its 6 vocations. So this is wild, actually. You have, 6 and then 6. So there are 36 different expressions of just profession and vocation alone. For example, if you're a soldier, you could choose from the list of vocations to become a gendarme or a scissor for hire. If you're a scholar, you could become a diplomat or a detective, so on and so forth. So these are going to be specializations within the class. Cool. And then it gives you another trait. So you're going to get these traits as you go. Most importantly, profession and vocation determine the points you have in each field and skill. All right, let's see. You'll be 20 skills. Ooh, 20. 20 is a lot. 20 is a lot these days. My God, that's a lot. Okay. Proficiency level in different things, divided into 4 fields. I wonder why they divided them. That's interesting. In the table, you'll find a list including 1 field and 10 skills in which you gain a point. After noting down these, you have access to 4 additional that you... This is nice, actually. You're going to be given... I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm going to confuse myself if I guess. You cannot have more than 3 points in the same skill. Roll a number of dice equal to the sum of points. Okay, so sort of like your Forged in the Dark games, Blades in the Dark, Girl by Moonlight, Band of Blades, Scum and Villainy, all of these. Your pips is what they're often called in those games. just determine how many dice you roll, because it's a d6 dice pool system. In those games, you're rolling a pool of d6 and you're just looking for the highest number. It's a very quick resolution system that I'm actually very fond of. Here we already know, I think it mentioned earlier, and I know just from conversations with others, that we are going to be looking for matching sets, pairs, doubles, triples, whatever, and figure out what to do with that. So the fields. Okay, so the fields are tied to playing card suits. Interesting, which might be just an iconographic thing. I don't know that we're actually touching decks of cards in this. You're in the field of society when you talk to other people to convince, manipulate, or deceive them. Art, charm, eloquence, etiquette, and grace. Academia, pretty straightforward. War and street. You're in the field of the street when you try to act stealthily or face a hostile environment, such as the sketchiest part of a city or an impenetrable mushroom forest. I like these. I really do. As broad categories. Society, academia, war, and street. Society is, this is where your classical, charisma is gonna fall, and then some elements of like knowledge society, which can sometimes be tied to intelligence fields in games. Academia is gonna be your well, it says right here, practical or theoretical knowledge, studies, that sort of thing. Intelligence modifiers would go here. Probably wisdom in some degree is going to be split. I know we don't have to refer everything back to the standard 6 D&D mechanics, but it's helpful to ground ourselves. Cannot hurt. And then war is going to be a lot of your physicality stuff. Athletics, authority. So this is your intimidation. Okay. Even though that would be in Pathfinder 2, for example, intimidation is a charisma thing. But I kind of like this. Fight, strength, will. Fight is a skill. Fascinating. Strength itself is a skill. All right. And then street is going to be your dexterity things, basically, and your sneaky things. Illusion, dexterity, caution, exploration, and shoot. Oh, no. Oh, no. I might have a problem here. Art, charm, eloquence, etiquette, grace, yeah. I keep saying etiquette. I've never said the word wrong before in my life, and today I can't say etiquette to save my life. Care, craft, culture, insight, investigation. There's a mix of verbs and nouns in here. It's not parallel construction. Parallel construction! It's one of my pet peeves. Anyway, aces up your sleeve. Aces are valuable resources you can play to gain great benefits. There are 4 aces, 1 for each suit, plus a joker. You may play an ace to gain an additional die before a roll. To remove a condition from your character, to reuse a move, and even make an attempt at turning a failure upside down. So these are going to be your, I'm a player character and the fortunes and fates turn my way kind of a mechanic type thing. Find more information on aces later. Okay, we won't worry about it now then. You begin with 2 and the suits tied to the main fields of your character. All right. So, okay. If you want to call these hero points, which we won't, but if you wanted to, you could say, hey, you have hero points, but you can only use them for the specific category where you have them. That's kind of cool. That's actually really kind of cool. Because imagine if you were playing Pathfinder, and it was like, oh yeah, you have a special hero point. Maybe a weaker hero point even, where you're like, yeah, you can use this to redo skill checks that are tied to charisma, but nothing else. Kind of interesting. You'd probably see that more come up in like a skill feat in Pathfinder 2 anyway. But traits and moves. A trait might grant you an additional die or a free reroll in a specific circumstance. These are feats, basically, huh? Yep. Big and strong, gain +1 to lift, carry, or break something. So trait is effectively a feat if we're translating language, just so we understand what we're doing here, because it's not like a tag-based thing like I expected from this word. It kind of is both, because it's this is, I would look at this big and strong as kind of like a narrative truth as well, on top of the fact that it gives you a mechanical benefit. I like to do that. I like to do that even with feats in Pathfinder, because skill feats are terrible and almost a waste of time to even choose. But sometimes I just it's like, well, I'll take the skill feat and the thing that it says that I can do mechanically, I'm also narratively good at. So I try and work that in. A move is a special ability you could normally only use once per session. Wow. If you want to reuse a move, you can do it by playing an ace. Okay. Fast reload. Okay, why does this have these symbols, though? These are the aces you could play to reuse it, I suppose. We might be wrong. Reload a ranged weapon or firearm. Without having to spend actions, I guess. We'll figure out our action economy. Equipment and wealth. You're going to have stuff, basically. TLDR, you're going to have stuff. Cool. Wonder if that's what you got to roll. Oh, right. Well, no, it can't be because they're six-sided die and they're 4 symbols. But maybe there are dead symbols. I know you can play the game with standard D6s. So, I'm going to assume that that's the suits you can use aces from to redo it. Okay, so here we go. Here's our character sheet. Do you start with 1 and everything? And you can't have more than 3? Did I miss that? I don't know. Oh, and then you can mark your aces. That's kind of cool. Equipment and wealth. Yeah, they have this abstracted wealth thing that we talked about briefly in the last stream, where you just basically have whole categories of like your wealthiness, which allows you to access different amenities and goods without having to like track the individual coins or gold or what, I forget what the currency they use is, but I like that, and I like that there's also a mix of actual wealth too. So within those categories, or outside of those categories, you can still spend wealth or gold, whatever it's called. So it's kind of a blended system, which I think is neat. We've got some conditions that we'll see. It looks like these conditions are tied to some of the fields. So they probably, yeah, look at this. Okay, we can already infer this. Embarrassed has the heart symbol. If you're embarrassed, you're going to take a penalty, probably to anything you roll out of society. Confused is going to affect your academia. Hurt is going to affect your war. And frightened is going to affect your street. I'm very intrigued. I've been on the fence about it because the book is so cool, but I'm really not really into a borrower's kind of theme, but I might be getting convinced. How do you think the book is cool, but you don't like the borrower's element? The thing about the borrowers, though, and those other media, is that there are people actively in the house, and this is not. There's nobody here. So it's free reign. It's just kind of a wild setting. Your pop filter gives me life. My pop filter is a sock, Maho. It is a sock. It used to be a boring black sock, but then I literally went out and bought a pack of colorful women's socks so I could have a pink one. Also, I forgot to mention this. I did apply some filters to my microphone in OBS. Just some very standard filters. In fact, the only thing I think I put on is compression, because I didn't really need to fuss with everything else. I don't have a loud background here, so I didn't need to do gating or anything like that. I put on a compressor and a limiter, and I'm curious if the audio is coming out better. Also, I found out last night as well that Windows once again went back to its old ways and started dropping my microphone level. So it's at 75% right now in the Windows system settings, and I put some filters on. I'm curious to know if it's going to be better. I don't dislike it, just didn't think I'd be interested in creating such a theme. Well, you don't have to create every theme if they make it for you. How do you not vibe with being tiny and borrowing things? You do sometimes hear my puffs of air. Yeah, that's always been a thing with my streams. Are you saying that's in the past? Or because in the past I didn't have any filters on or anything, so it just lets you know I'm alive. Okay, here, what else can we figure out? Decorum. So this is going to be like a style of your kind of personality and how you roleplay. That's very fascinating. Oh, it's a scale too. Because I think there are certain places that you need to have certain decorum to access. Uncouth, shabby, decent, elegant, and pompous. Still hear the puffs, and I do like knowing you're alive. Well, I'll have to figure it out. I'll have to figure it out someday. Wow. My voice is very lovely, and I'm jealous. You have a good voice, too. Stress. We have this specific stress box right here, as you can see. So this is going to be kind of a turning point now. Can you see? I need to zoom in more. Sorry. Here you go. Look at this right here. So you're going to tick up stress as you go. This may or may not be a resource we can tap into to get effects from things, or it might just be a consequence we get hit with. But then this one right here, this is going to be your turning point kind of mechanic. A lot of games that have stress as a mechanic have this, and it basically means that as you get worsening, probably you're going to have extra penalties or some such. Eclipse is a thing in Girl by Moonlight. The turning point is literally what it's called in The Last Caravan, after which point you go from surviving to worsening, and then you will take extra harm every single phase that you don't address it. So we can tell that from the character sheet. This is always a fun practice, is to see how much you can learn about the game just by looking at its character sheet. Things happen when you hit it, for sure. Yes. Critical stress box. Okay. Oh, the only other Muse fan you've ever met. By the way, Maho, how do you feel about the WoW signal? I've been listening to it a ton lately. A ton. I was thinking I could sing Shimmering Scars or Space Debris off of there. I mean, I also want to sing all the other ones, but they're kind of wild. Conditions, contracts, you got to track those. Oh, I forget this. What is this? Terrible things something? This is a whole mechanic about when you violate your contracts, you mark. I forget what the third T is for. Something terrible things. And this basically just makes bad fortune befall you all the time. It's not good. You want to stay away from that. Here's where you're going to track all your stuff. Memories, we don't know what these are yet. And experiences, this looks freeform, so we'll see. Okay. Now let's actually read about what we took a bunch of guesses about. Decorum is a measure of your elegance and personal hygiene. A higher level of decorum will make it easier to earn the goodwill of nobles and so-called polite society. A lower level of decorum will help you be taken seriously in seedy circles and criminal society. So it is not trying to imply that one is better than the other in all situations. There are times where you'd want high and there's times where you'd want low. And if you have a party and you have people who are suited for particular interactions, you want to lean on them for that. You need to vibe with it. I just got unbusy and I'm looking to experience it fresh. You are in for a treat. It's a great album. Oh no, social mechanics? Are you gonna make it, Zach? You gonna be okay? I'm getting an idea. We'll see if I can develop this idea while I stream. Your starting decorum is determined by the total of your points in society plus academia. 2 points you're shabby, 3 points you're decent. If you have 4, you can be elegant. So long as you have elegant clothes. Diegetic. You cannot be elegant without actual elegant clothes. That's great. Because I know some of the terrible things will literally ruin your clothes and stuff. What did I want to say about this though? Okay. Points. I don't know. How would you not have that many points? Don't you get... I'm confused. Hello, Cheeky. Good morning. How are you? Hope you're doing well. Amoeba. Is this a reference? I don't know. I guess we'll keep going. We'll see this, and maybe Thaddeus will clear it up for us in chat if he's here. Here working and listening to stream. Before Chapter 1, you may also pay 1 coin to raise your level of decorum by 1. Alternately, you may lower your level of decorum by 1 and get 1 coin in exchange. That's kind of a neat thing. Even as you create your character, you're like, I could be riding high or riding low when we start the story, and I'll pay for it. That's cool. Maho and Cheeky are single amoeba. I see. I've seen that in chats elsewhere, and I'm like, what are you guys talking about? You find everything you need to know in the section how to play. Okay. Stress is a measure of your current physical and emotional conditions. It represents all the small wounds. This is a great track for this game, by the way, I feel like. Is the music loud enough for you guys to even hear? I'm going to bump it up a little, actually. Small wounds, exhaustion, tension, and fear during your adventure. That's right, we don't have a hit point mechanic. You can have a maximum of 12 stress, and you can say, oh, well, isn't stress your hit points mechanic? Yeah, okay, fine. It's just different. When you exceed this limit, you become overstressed and can even risk having to bow out. Music is good. Well, I hope it's still good after I turned it up because of the delay. Conditions, on the other hand, represent serious injuries, stinging humiliations, illnesses, and other noteworthy statuses. Curious. These are more like harms in other systems. Personally, I appreciate the bump, but it's probably because old ears. Well, it's a quiet tune, so if it gets blasted out, just let me know. I'll drop it again. When you have too many conditions, you become broken and stop being able to remove all accumulated stress. Ooh. Okay, there's also these ones that aren't tied to the fields. Tired, sick, poisoned, and broken. There's some crunch here. There's definitely some crunch to this game. When choosing your folk, you get your contract. We know all about that. Well, we know all about it. We know about it. Go watch last stream. Prologue is a short summary. Okay, so a little background. I love this. This is all you need. This is all you need for character background, in my opinion. It's plenty. One paragraph is plenty. Experiences and memories. Every time something truly important happens, as your story progresses, you can note it in experiences section. Interesting. If a memory is an experience that has taken root within your character. Oh, a memory is. Okay. It's one of the narrative building blocks. Okay, so this is just guidance and encouragement. This doesn't look to be mechanical, but I genuinely think it's cool. I don't know. I feel like I would want to reward players for doing it, though, because otherwise I don't know how you get them to do it. Unless you find the magical table where people are all about it, which could be me. Can you take stress on purpose? That's the difference from HP in a lot of games. Yeah, right, yeah. You can spend it as a resource, potentially, so... yeah. Okay, this is a battle track that I would normally skip, but this one's a banger, so we're going to listen to it. I love this track. Extended sheet. There's an extended character sheet spanning over 2 pages, which you can find at the end of this volume. Looks like the traveling documents carried by littlings. It should be folded in half like a refined passport. That's so cool. That said, the extended sheet is much more spacious. Let's go straight to it. Probably in the appendix. Sorry for the scrolling spam. Sorry. Give me the sheet. Oh, what? Now we're into, like, bestiary stuff. Ha ha ha. Okay, hold on. Let me get myself together here. Reminds me of Lost Odyssey battle themes. I don't know Lost Odyssey. What is that? I don't know it at all. Okay, so here's this, which looks the same. Oh, it says here, the classic character sheet. This is the extended character sheet front. Look at these oh, this is cute. This is like a book ribbon. The memories in it. And then what did we push to the backside? The inventory, notes and relationships, prologue, volume 1. All the stuff from the different years. Doodling spot. Yeah. Right on. Did I rotate the right number of times to get back to... I did, okay. Alright. There was a question for you. Yeah, I'll get back to it here really quick. It was something I did not understand at all. Decorum. Your starting decorum is determined by the total of your points in society plus academia. If you have 2 points, you're shabby. 3, you're decent. 4, you're elegant. I think I just answered the question for myself. Thanks for clocking in, Thaddeus. I do not need you. I was like not getting it. So 4 is the most you could have, which basically means that you've chosen the field of society and academia. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, because you start with 1. If you don't put any into it, then you only have 2. So I get it. Okay. All right. It's a JRPG that was an Xbox exclusive. I don't know names. Guys, I'm not a gamer. I'm sorry. I don't know names and stuff. I'm just out here. I'm just out here trying to be my best girl. 5 languages spoken. Hausian, the lingua franca of the house. Spoken in every room. Fey, Harthish, Sprigalic, and Slaugan? I'd call it Slaugan to match Slough. It's probably wrong, but I would call it Slaugan. I don't know. Your character knows at least 2 Hausian plus the language of their home. If you have 2 points in academia, you gain a 3rd language. Okay, very, very natural RPG progression of languages. To understand a language you don't know, you can make a roll in culture. That's cool. On your adventures, you might also learn by choosing polyglot trait. This is cool, though, to actually use a skill to try to parse language. I haven't seen that in many games, if I'm honest. Usually they're just like, you don't know the language. Tough shit. I prefer that. We've got a ballad here. Ballad of the Spider and Rookie Hunter. We may come back and do a dramatic reading of that, if y'all want. But we're here to do mechanics today. So, Here's our professions. Okay, these are your classes, we'll call them. And then later on, we'll get into what we might call an archetype. Sure, send the music. No, Thaddeus, come back. We need you. We need you for other reasons. We need you for your company and your friendship, just not your knowledge this time. I was thinking of involving languages in my current world project. Oh, yeah. WildSea does cool stuff with languages, for sure. Like, each language has a track of how well you know it. So it's not just, do you know it or not? It's like, can you understand it but not speak it? That kind of thing. I think that's neat. There are many ways to make an honest living in the house. One of them is becoming a soldier and taking on a military career. That is pretty straightforward, so we're not going to linger on it. You get a field point in war. You get master at arms. You choose one of these moves, and you get free points in this. And then you get 4 more to choose from. Opposite of WildSea, actually, since there the languages are knowledge skills. Is that right? It's been too long. It's been too long since I've tried to read WildSea. Akrath doesn't utilize language differences on purpose, and I thought it was underutilized in my D&D experience. You know, here's the weird thing about languages. They're a neat simulationist concept of, like, can we communicate? Can we have secret runes or messages written on a wall of some place that we explore? And can we make that meaningful and fun in gameplay? And sure, yes, you can make it so that the person who decides to invest in languages is useful and can feel special in those moments. And I appreciate that. However, when it comes to, like, role-playing out, like, can you speak or understand this language in an actual scene, I feel like it's just going to jam up at the table. And I feel like I've seen that, where it's just kind of like we're role-playing the absence of language, and it's the absence of language in real life is hard enough. And so, I don't know, there's just an element of it where it's like, I don't know that it makes for good roleplay situations, because if you've ever been deprived of your language, being somewhere that you don't speak the language, it's like really intimidating and frightening and scary and hard. It's hard to get your brain to try, even if you kind of passingly know the language. My experience of this was when I was in Spain in 2012. For the first half of our trip, I was the most knowledgeable Spanish speaker in our group, so I had to, like, make things happen. And then we met up with my brother's friend who was teaching Spanish in Spain, and then he got to be, you know, head Spanish speaker, and I was number 2, and that was a much better place for me to be. Anyway, it's intimidating and scary and embarrassing, which I know, like, people in other nations and even here in the US, when people are, like, trying really hard to speak a language, like, my default reaction to that is compassion. I'm just like, okay, let me lock in with you. Let me make eye contact. Let's try and communicate as best as we can with our body language, you know, the shared things that we have as humanity. And I'm always, like, very much like, I'm proud of you as a person. Doesn't matter your age or anything of that sort. I'm proud of you for, like, trying to communicate, because it is so debilitating and it almost feels shameful. You're just like, I shouldn't be here. So, you know, I don't know, like, it might be interesting to have a game that, like, really dove into that and explored it, but having it as if it feels tacked on sometimes, I could see where a game, like, maybe this is where Ash with Cross Paths was just kind of like, you know what, let's not. Like, let's just have open and free communication in this game between characters and NPCs and everything. So I could see it. All right, sorry, that was a decent rant on language. Maybe I should do a language stream. D&D experience was also extremely combat heavy. Well, you know, it's D&D. Oh, that's such a funny thing to say. Combat in almost every session. I don't know that was a combat heavy D&D experience, Zach. Very cool, very cool. So anyway, we've got some of our moves. Are these the moves? These are the moves. Okay, so you choose one of these. These are your special abilities, basically. You might call these stunts in Fate, if you want to call them that. Things that kind of break out of the normal rules. Defensive stance, endure pain. And I'm sure they do a bunch of cool stuff. If you want to know about this cool stuff, buy the book. I'm sure it was just in a Humble Bundle recently. So maybe some of you already got it from there. I played D&D with a GM who insisted we actually reiterate and translate what was said to our character by NPCs for other party members who didn't speak the language. How did you like that, Pepper? Was that a good experience? I don't want to telegraph my thoughts on it, but... Oh, look, these guys have names. These are like actual characters. We've got Dimitri, a fairy. Yeah, looking like a Dimitri. We've got Ira and Undini. He's kind of a cool looking dude. Tubo, a slaw. He looks like he's got nails driven into his shoulder. I hope not. Cool, like centipede, scorpion type tattoo thing going on. You got it in the humble bundle, right on. And Gemma, a boggart. Oh, that's cool. I like her. I like her a lot. Mine just said, did you translate what you read to the others? And I'd be like, yep, and that was fine with me. Yeah, that's the default way to do it. It's like, we all know that the characters are trying to openly share information. So, I love Pepper's response, just no. To me, this is like, because I'm forcing you to say it, I'm putting you in the position to potentially have something lost in translation of you, the player, and I'm trying to catch you in a gotcha because, haha, you didn't say this detail. And I'm just like, what are we doing here? That's super antagonistic and unnecessary. Anyway, cool thing is those characters have their sheets made and appear in the Saga of the Fragile Peace book. Nice. Same for all the other professions. Oh, wow. So those are all like pre-gens then. That's cool. Cool. Okay, and then here are what we have. What do we call these? Vocations. Okay, so that's the profession. Here's the vocations. So that's going to give you your other field point, another 10 points in skills, and a trade. So you could double. What happens if you double up on the field point? Do you just not get it? Oh, I see. It's not possible. That's one way to do it. That's one way to solve that. So you can be a cadet. Young littlings of high hopes and good looks. So yeah, it's just more specialization into what traits you can choose from, and so you get this customization that's very interesting. I dig it. I dig it. Anyhow, it's going to be a lot of quick scrolling through here because even though we are here to talk about mechanics, you know, going into every like little ability is something we would do more on a base camp where it's like we're about to run or play this. While it's true that soldiers and hunters defend our nation's scholars are the ones who lead them forward, these littlings of great culture and sharp mind are trained year after year in universities and academies all over the house and go on to become source of pride and inspiration for all who wish for a better future. So it's nice that scholars are like respected in the setting. That's nice. They definitely refine this idea in Outgun, do they? Do they? Is Outgunned an evolution of the system that they created in Household? I knew they had some overlap, but I didn't realize if it was a progression. Do you know who I am? Interesting. That's cool. You can react against a littling by rolling authority +1 instead of the requested skill. I mean, this is all cool stuff. This is not groundbreaking like game tech by any stretch. Like these mechanical explorations of abilities and unique things that you can do and things that modify. Oh, because you can like snap at them and be like, do you know who I am? And then you can do authority instead of the requested skill, like swapping skills out. That this is like decently common tech, but of course, you know, it's common for a reason because it's fun. It's fun to swap things out. Do things to interface with conditions. Yeah, so everything we've learned about the mechanics so far, your abilities are going to interface with them in some way to modify them, tweak them, have them come across differently. And yeah, you'll get some different stuff. Maybe if we have time and I have energy, we'll do a character creation. Maybe. Not gonna promise it. She is adorable. She is super adorable. Gwen, a boggart. Malika, a slaw. Pierre, a fairy. And Aiden, a salamander. This is Aiden. That's the salamander. Is this Pierre? Oh, there's his wings. Yeah, that's Pierre. she's a slaw. Bonus points for being a slaw. Interesting with the Plague Doctor mask. Bunch of vials and stuff. Cool. Yeah, the art is so good. The art is so good. It makes me... I wish it wasn't up for Best Interior Art against Legend in the Mist. I want Legend in the Mist to win so bad. I want it to win so bad. In the Ennies, that is, by the way. Which we did some brief Ennie coverage on Friday. Mostly it was me scrolling by and being like, I don't know what any of this stuff is. But we did click into some of the nominees and find some interesting products out there. So, you want the art book? I mean, yeah. It's really good art. I just, man, so many games I've been touching lately have had such great art. Like, I'm still over the moon with some of the art for Blue Rose. The art book is just too good. All right. So as a scholar, you can be an artist, a diplomat. Hey. I am a sucker for diplomat, noble type classes. What's like your guys' standard like go-to like thing? Like if I had to pick, I would like want to be like the diplomat, noble type character. Like even Hanlon, like his background was emissary, and I was like, yeah, he's riding his horse around and he's delivering like materials and supplies to people on the front lines, but he's also got this like political angle to him, and you know, I love that. I love playing with that, the power of politics and stuff. Not in like the gross like Game of Thrones way, but in the fun way that I get to feel clever. Researcher. Also interested in nobles lately. Let's go. Do it. Not all. Most of my favorite characters. Many of my favorite characters have been noble coded. Doctor, detective, scientist. We just had a great play-by-post scene in our Hellbreakers game that played out last night, and I probably am going to, with the group's permission, touch it up and put it as the feature article in the Signal when I get around to finishing the next issue, which, if that's my feature article, that will be the last thing I needed for it. But you gotta be at specialist tier to read that. Sorry. Hunters. Wild mice, rats, centipedes, and spiders of all shapes and sizes roam the lands of the house, crawling in the carpets and in-betweens, and this is the wrong song for that. No littling can feel truly safe setting foot beyond the boundaries of their settlements, least of all facing a long journey with a pack snail or as part of a slow merchant caravan. Those creatures are a true infestation we will never be completely rid of for all we know. I wonder if they've actually done a good ranger here. But I mean, what is a ranger? Like, if you guys aren't like really steeped into the class identity discussion, ranger is one of the classes that is kind of fraught with interpretation problems lately. Like, is the ranger the woodland person? Is the ranger the hunter person? Is the ranger the nature magic tapping into half druid? Like, what is a ranger? And I'm of the radical take that ranger is not a class and shouldn't be, along with other things like bard. I think some of these class identity things that have just like gotten locked into the zeitgeist can be the background, and the class should be like what you do with your background. But anyway, I have wild takes on that. Anyway, so they may, because of the setup of the way these mechanics work, the fact that you're getting skills, which this does seem to be a very skill-driven system. Skills are going to affect how many die you roll, and that's going to affect how many successes you get. I guess we're hunting for successes again. Today's London Hot Take, yeah. Let's see if we can get more. And then with the moves, just modifying how you can interact with the world. So I do want to look at the hunter moves actually more closely. Fast reload, okay. Sharp eye, find important clues thanks to your sharp eye, or learn the opponent's weak spot. Yeah, effective, evocative. It does what the class says it should do. Take cover. Find resources, sure. Precision shot, quick reaction, rescue. I like this. I actually, this is kind of neat. As like, I know this is the hunter, it's not a ranger, but I like this concept, rescue, as a ranger thing. I think it would be cool if rangers had, honestly, you know what? Pathfinder 2, if rangers had something like this in their class identity that was similar to the champion reactions. A lot of the champion reactions, within your 15-foot aura are about protecting or preventing damage from people. But it might be cool if rangers in that system had like a reaction that could be used anytime that a character within their range was like making a save or something, and they could like jump in. That would be so cool. That'd be so cool. Slay. After you hit a large or giant opponent, you can make a second attack action roll with -1. Nice. I think these are great. What are they called? Moves. In this game, they're called moves. I think these are great for being that ranger archetype. Let's check out some more awesome art. We got a slaw here. What are you? Oh, you're a boggart for sure, because of the bridge of the nose there. You're a fairy because you have wings, and you are thereby probably a salamander? Yes. Icarus, Kamar, Humphrey, and Litha. Okay. You guys want to hear my best worst joke I ever wrote myself? Kissable person spotted. Zach, I've been here the whole time. What do you call a camel with a flat back? Humphrey. That joke came straight out of my brain years and years ago. It's the best thing I've ever done. I've peaked. Okay, you can be a guide, a champion. Okay, see? Champions? Lovable braggarts who fill the taverns. Okay, this is not what I thought they were going with champion, but... The one with the key. Oh, okay, hold on. Let me go linger on the one with the key. They all have... A bunch of them have keys. This is your kissable person here? This one? Does he look like he'd call you back, though? I love how there's a chat delay. I don't know if this wow is in response to Zach making eyes at the art, or if it's in response to me saying that I'm the kissable person, or if it's in response to my bad joke. No, and I'd be fine with that. Oh, Zach, go take a shower. Go take a shower. And this song I can remove from the playlist. That is one of the Darius Carlon songs, I think. Lone mouse, that's cute. Because it's not a lone wolf. Because it's a lone mouse. See, there's look, here's more wow. I don't know what's happening anymore. I also noticed, I don't know what happened, but if this is accurate or not, but my active viewers went from 10 down to 3 right after I made that joke. Now it's back up to 7. That's so funny. All right, bounty hunter, etc., etc. Criminals. It's interesting that criminal is a, it's not a profession. What do they call these? It's not a vocation either. As long as there are honest littlings willing to work for honest wages, there will also be others who try to take advantage of them. I can't, in all honesty, call the criminal life a real profession, but desperate times sometimes call for desperate solutions. The war left a lasting mark on the people of the household, and many found themselves in abject poverty. I like how this is addressing a societal reality of the household. Criminal moves. I mean, this is like your rogue, I guess, right? Rogue doesn't necessarily connote that you're a criminal, but here it does. I like this top. I do like this top with the butterfly right there. That's cute. That's cute. I also like her fit. Everybody's too beautiful. Jocelyn, a fairy. Sienna, a boggart. Micah, a slaw. And Gunther, a sylph. Who's the sylph? I thought the sylphs all had gigantic poofy hair. I guess this one doesn't. Interesting. Look, it's not my fault if my tastes in fictional characters get targeted by a laser beam. Oh, that's funny. Those are not her wings, are they? Is she wearing these on her back? These are her wings. It's funny. She also has like a little poison thing there. Anyway, kind of a Harley Quinn coded there. Courtesan. Oh, interesting. That courtesan is in the criminals. Huh. Oh, here we go. In the realm, it's common for courtesans to wear small ornamental wings, sometimes disgracefully painted red like the Serenas. Interesting. Interesting. Cheater. Thief. Professional. Snitch and thug. Very evocative things. I feel like by choosing these, you get a sense for who the character is already, just by the names of their profession and vocation. Duelists. So duelists are notably not soldiers. And I wonder what it is about that makes them a duelist. This is probably going to be somewhere in that kind of... well, their field point is in war, though. So anyway, they're kind of a skirmisher. Maybe they're just... I don't know. I wonder why. Duelists are the keeper of an ancient art handled down in old academies, an art of war that originated when war was a cleaner, more romantic affair, when the fighter's skill really made a difference on the battlefield. Everyone loved them because they are the last vestiges of a simpler time, bringing our minds and hearts back to an age of fairy tales and grand deeds and undying loves. So maybe it's, really justified just by the lore and the history of them. And of course, mechanically, they're going to have slightly different things, but interesting. All right, let's get attacked again. Oh, I already commented on how cute she is in the last stream. This guy's pretty awesome. This page is just 4 straight bangers of beautiful people. Just beautiful people doing their thing. Siobhan, Ernest, Yulia, and Santiago. Ooh, the redhead, right? Right. I just... that, everything about it, everything. Libertine, hero, virtuoso, captain. What does captain mean? Some of them are true soldiers. Okay, interesting. Others are mercenaries. Cool. My Pana heart is bursting right now. This is we should have done this. We're five days too late. We could have done this during Pride. Swashbuckler, rebel, and now we're to the animal handlers, where we get to see cute stuff. I am very under attack, you guys. I'm sorry. If hunters are tasked with exploring the wildlands and defending the general population from aggressive beasts, handlers devote their lives to rearing, looking after, training, and taking care of animals and insects who can coexist peacefully with littlings. Could you imagine the house with no riding mice, no gecko shows, no pet bumblebees, or no watch beetles? The presence of these creatures in our day-to-day life is so deeply rooted that we almost take it for granted, but it took decades of work for the animal handlers to make it possible. Of course, his name is Santiago. It is Pride 24/7, 365 days a year on this channel. Hell yeah, it is. All right, so every animal handler starts at Chapter 1 with an animal companion of their choice between beetle, bumblebee, gecko, or mouse. Well, I've never seen a better opportunity to do a poll in the chat. I will allow for the possibility that you want to wait to see how they are expressed in the setting before you choose. So I won't close this poll with any sort of urgency. But this is important. This is how we find out who you truly are. And also, I don't think it lets me vote because of the way I have this set up. Can I drag this down? My little pop-out thing is not designed very well for this. Anyway, vote away. Vote away, my friends. These animals are played by the same player, of course. They can act independently. Every animal companion has a dedicated set of traits and moves you'll find in later pages. So you can choose between your vocation or theirs. Interesting. All right, here's the different kind of attack. It's a cuteness attack. Look at her beetle. That's pretty awesome. Got a gecko. Look at that happy face. Look at this face. This face wants you to know that you're great. And it hopes you have a great day. And this guy, oh my god. Oh my god. She's gorgeous as well, obviously. And the mouse. It's so cute. They're all cute. This is for the players who want to play cute stuff. Oh my god, that gecko, right? Zara, a slaw, Hannah, a fairy, Floyd, a boggart, and Priscilla, an Undine. I love all the names they've been using, too. I wonder if we get a name table in here. Bearded fella looks wifeable. Zach! Oh. Who knew? Who knew this was going to be the stream, the thirst stream? Veterinarian aristocrat. Wow. Oh, because some of these people have these animal companions because they're fancy. Everyone at court is arrogant and conceited. Only you understand me, little furball. Oh, that's heart-melting. Rancher. Monster rancher. Trainer. Street performer. Traveling merchant. These are interesting. I guess you should do the street performer with the animal. No, everyone was not looking at you. They were looking at me. You're such a diva. I love it. The implication of that relationship there is hilarious. Zach doesn't care about cute animals. Shake my head. Oh, gosh. Sorry you have to live with them. Traveling merchant. Okay, here's your beetle. Look at that face. Look at the face on this beetle. It even has like a spiked collar. Like, what? Their name is Coco. I don't know how to say that, but C-O-C-C-O. All right, so wait. So we have vocations, and we also have... Sorry for the scrolling. Okay, so we did not get our list of moves. We take our moves from the companion themselves. Okay. Gecko's pretty cute, though. So was its handler. They were all cute. They're all beautiful people. Beetle moves. Hold the ground. Avenge. Endurance. Flying charge. Oh, that's so cool. Beetle traits. Beetle's big enough to be mounted. I would give Coco all the little treats. Ironclad resistance. Guys, if you choose the beetle, you can do the smash move. Bumblebee. Oh, why do the bees all have cute little ribbons? Its name is Muffin. No. They can't get away with this. A big hit in the halls of high society. Yeah, you said it. Yeah, you said it. But there are also black bumblebees called hornet bumblebees, and they are truly fearsome. Ooh, in the horde, there's even a whole battalion of these insects known as the Black Legion. Damn, that's cool. That's so cool. I got too excited. Now I need to do this. I got too excited. Oh, Muffin, right? Helps to keep your balance or retrieve small items. Okay, I love this, because this implies to me that your bumblebee is just kind of like hanging around, and sometimes it like latches onto your shoulder and like hovers a little bit to like help you balance. That's so cute. Okay, it has a move called Cuteness Overload. Either remove the embarrassed or frightened condition from a character or cheer up someone. Ugh. Look at this guy. He's got a little fez. Of all the animal companions, geckos are certainly the most mischievous, and they often prove as smart as they are sly. Recently, there's been a large surge in the use of geckos as pets thanks to the famous novel, The Story of a Bumblebee and the Gecko Who Taught Her to Fly, which melted the hearts of many in the household. Okay, please publish this. This needs to be actually published. I knew this would be the reactions. You're a monster, Thaddeus. You're a monster. Oh, his name is Jimmy. Draw attention, snitch, slip away. This is cool. Like little tricksters. And there's the mouse. No! Ciabatta. Ugh. Killing me. It's killing me. Trusted travel companions and peerless hounds, speedy mounts, and loving guardians of farms, mice are certainly the best friend of any littling. So the mouse is dog-coated, right? And what would the gecko be? I don't know. I know. It's too much. Professional traits. Okay, these are the traits that are tied to... This must have been a layout thing for the reason that they're not actually on the pages themselves, which is regrettable, unfortunately. You would love this to be on the actual page of the class itself, or the profession, rather. Cuteness overload, indeed. Gain a free reroll for all rolls made with a ranged weapon or firearm. Begin chapter 1 with a free firearm or a ranged weapon of your choice. Yeah, this is a little weird that they're not on the actual profession pages. Can I vote for all of them? No. No. You can't. Yeah, we have a... Oh, here's the professional trait. The trait gives you the animal companion. When you're with your animal companion, you are always considered armed. Haha. Nice. This is definitely not Helena Bonham Carter, but you see it, right? Very cool. Great art. Cool, he has a tattoo of a coin, of the back of a quarter. And there's traits. Where did we get these? Oh, these were listed in the class thing. Okay. Okay, and you get a profession specific. When you reach chapter 3 and 5, you gain a new one. So there's a cool like milestone thing happening here where we're not gaining experience or so on and so forth, but as we're progressing through the chapters are the years of the story. And so there are things that happen just tied to time. Firefly. What about Firefly? Are we talking about the show or an actual Firefly? Or do you want a Firefly? Or did I miss something that says Firefly? So yes, okay, you're going to grab extra traits as you go. And we're into how to play. Believe it or not, we finally got there. Okay, let's see how I can close this poll. Oh, there, if I click on it, then I can see it. 5 votes. It's last chance. There's a tie right now between the bumblebee and the gecko. I'll close it in 5 seconds. There you go. Above pick of 3, his pet was Firefly. Oh! Oh, yeah. So, it was a tie between the bumblebee and the gecko. We love to tie things here. Super cool. Very cool. Okay, oops, I just accidentally skipped way ahead. Okay, here we are. Here we are on how to play. This game is an exciting back and forth between narrator and players who cooperate to recreate the story of some littlings whose names never made it into the history books. It's a fun experience that allows us to live great adventures taking place in an exciting and romantic past. In this section, I will rely on the help of a young boggart troublemaker named Jacob and his friends who, for your convenience, will be the protagonists of some useful examples. Alright, so we're going to have play examples. Shall we read play examples today? I don't think we shall. Dice. Household is meant to be played with a special type of 6-sided dice. Each face on household dice is decorated with a different colored symbol to make it easier to recognize successes. These personalized dice are not needed to play, but they make for a more tailored experience. And they're beautiful. Of course they are. Spades has like a spider in it. The heart is a butterfly or a moth. We've got the clubs with like the scissors of the boggarts and the flame of the hearth. Oh, these are the nations, aren't they? The diamond is the clock, which is the bedroom. This is the dining room, the dining hall for the fairies, I assume. And then the basement has the spiders, and then the hearth. Interesting. When an action carries a risk, okay, this is your important section that tells you when to roll. This tells you what the game cares about, and what you, whatever you release to the mechanics. Whatever you mechanize, you release. When an action carries a risk or when it can lead to important consequences that would influence the development of the story, then it's time for you to roll the dice. There are 2 kinds of dice rolls in this game, action rolls and reaction rolls, depending on whether you're stating the action or if you are responding to it. Fair enough. Game terms. Player, narrator, character, character sheet, roll, dice pool, card suits. Action turn. Every player may take 1 action every turn. When everyone has acted, the next turn begins. Okay, so it's 1 action turns. And actions are talking to someone, running, or reading a letter. Interesting. This is very interesting. Scene. A small building block of the story. Session is gaming session. Paragraph is a self-contained adventure. Paragraphs can be composed of 1 or more sessions. I don't love this. I love everything so far, pretty much, but I don't love this. That's too much, I don't even know what you want to call it. Chapter, a year of adventures. Chapters can be composed of one or more paragraphs. You know what I would have liked is if this was called a page rather than a paragraph. I think I would have liked that. Because a chapter can be composed of one or more pages as well. It keeps that... I don't even know what the word... There's a word I'm looking for, but I can't find it right now. It's early in the morning. Okay, and you play through 5 chapters, as described in a saga. So each saga is going to be another study of a 5-year time period. There's Hermoso J. Hemingway, author of the book we are reading right now, Household Volume 1. He's holding it. We're reading it. We are reading it. Action rolls. Before making an action roll, it's important you define your goal and the approach you want to use to reach it. To do this, you just have to answer 2 simple questions. What do I want to achieve? Okay, so this is open-ended. Having a clear goal helps the narrator decide the best consequences for a success or failure. This is good practice also in games like Forged in the Dark. You always want to be declaring what you're trying to accomplish because it will determine, in Forged in the Dark games, what you are setting for your position and effect, which determines, therefore, how effective you will be at it and what might happen if it goes poorly. If you successfully pass the roll, you'll have reached your goal. If not, something probably went wrong. The answer to this question will help you define your approach of how you want to achieve it. Carefully describing your approach will allow you to easily determine the field and skill used in your action roll. Okay. So this game is encouraging you to be what you might call fiction first with how you approach your rolls. However, there's nothing forcing you into fiction first. So this is guidance that I suspect some groups may fall into old habits for, where they're now looking at the sheet and the things and they say, I want to do a fight roll. And it's like, no, we're going to decide what you do after you tell me what you actually do. So don't think in terms of the skills, think in terms of what you're literally doing. This is also great guidance for Powered by the Apocalypse games, Legend of the Mist, of course, which our play-by-post games are ongoing on our server right now. And yeah, it's just, you just say what you do and then let the rules and the GM who is applying the rules inform you when the game tells you that it cares enough to stop and roll for dice, and they will tell you generally like what they want to see you roll for it. Kind of keeps you from just being really kind of from cheesing everything, trying to roll the same skill for everything and just trying to forcibly work your way into it. Now, some will say, well, if I'm clever enough, can't I just naturally align what I'm describing with the things that I'm naturally good at? And I say, yes, you can. And no, that's not a bad thing either, because that represents your character naturally gravitating towards the things they are naturally good at, which is fictionally consistent as well. So I don't think that's a problem to game it like that, but it is still a different mentality to come to it from describing what you're doing in the narrative instead of picking something off a character sheet. At the end of the day, can you play the game both ways and have fun? Yes, you can. So, skills are listed under the field they're most often associated with, but you can always choose to use any skill with any field. That's cool. That's a very important line of text. Right on. You can roll fight and street. Interesting. Interesting. The difficulty level indicates how much of a hurdle an action roll is. So I'm guessing it's going to tell us how many duplicates we need. There are 4 levels of difficulty: basic, critical, extreme, and impossible. Narrator is tasked with determining the difficulty and can also discuss the options with the players. So it's a conversation, but they're the final say. In any case, the narrator is not required to disclose the difficulty level of a roll. Oh, they can choose to keep it secret to heighten the suspense. That's also a temptation to fudge. Please don't. If you do this, I would encourage you to write it down and put it face down somewhere to keep yourself honest. Because you might find yourself being like, ooh, I'm going to keep the difficulty secret to ramp up the tension, and then the dice go terribly, and you're like, oh, I really didn't want this to go terribly. I just wanted some artificial tension, which is a lesson that you shouldn't have done that in the first place. But if you're going to do it, write it down so that you can keep yourself honest. And then if you find, wow, I didn't really want that to go that way, learn that about yourself and your own GMing style, and learn through failing, and then try to more carefully align that later on. And this advice is all throughout games. I remember the section in Girl by Moonlight that's literally like, hey, when it's talking about setting up the engagement role and dropping people into the combats or the conflicts. And it's like, look, if you get this wrong on either side and you start the scene too early or too late, like, it's okay. Just do better next time. But it's okay. So, here is our... this was the one I used for the thumbnail. Yeah, that is one thing I'm super into. The difficulty also plays into consequences which are spelled out. Fantastic. So this is the art we used. I had to use this art for the thumbnail. I wish it had a more colored background, but it was just too perfect. For a thumbnail talking about mechanics, all these guys dancing on the dice. This is really cool. Little action scene between this guy and the spider. Okay, basic are small everyday challenges that can be useful to liven up the game and create small setbacks, especially during the early chapters. Note, however, that they are not so basic that they do not need a roll. So they may be small, but they are also going to potentially create small setbacks. So don't just call for a roll just to call for a roll. Critical rolls are the beating heart of the game. They are actions that really make a difference. Extreme rolls, on the other hand, are rare events, which represent a great challenge, even for expert littlings. Finally, impossible rolls are called impossible for a reason. If you ever end up facing one, I suggest you take a good hard look at your choices. Do something else. I meant to say not super into in relation to keeping difficulty hidden. Okay. I didn't, yeah, that makes more sense. Yep. I prefer to be open and upfront and transparent with things upfront. That's just a habit that I've learned. So, oh, you... I told you not to. God. I told you not to. That's incredible. I will lambast you later as we get to it. God, we're only on page 89 of 322. Wild. Zach did a thing, by the way. Zach did another art thing. Okay, impossible rolls should be more unique than rare. This is good guidance. I'm going to read this again. In all confidence, most of the rolls you'll have to make will be either basic or critical, while extreme rolls should be placed carefully and impossible rolls should be more unique than rare. Cool. All right, okay. Let's do it. Let's show you what Zach did. The monster. No, don't do that. Hold on. What am I trying to do? I have to download it first. Okay. I will save you as a PNG. It's adorable. Look at that. Zach is actively trying to turn me into a VTuber, is what's happening here. Because now the fox ears are a whole thing. Just spontaneously. It's so cute. You're a monster. I had CSP open for a different reason, but the drawing glove was already on before you told me no. Okay, well, I'll try to say no faster next time. God, that's too cool. It's too cool, buddy. It's too cool, you're too kind, and you should be stopped. You really should be reined in. This track, I don't hate, but it has elements that I don't think belong in this playlist, so there you go. Oh my god, there's 2 Londons on screen. Wow. This is how it begins. This is the furry pipeline, guys. This is how it starts. The flesh tuber to VTuber to furry pipeline. Oh, why did the music stop? Didn't want you to stop. There you go. The number of dice in your pool is determined by the sum of the points you have in the field and skill involved in the roll. Oh, so you add the points from the field. So you could roll up to 6 dice, I guess, right? Yeah. For example, if you're making an action roll with eloquence and society, you will have a dice pool composed of 1 die for every point you have in eloquence, plus 1 die for every point in society. Okay. Thank you, authors. because this right here tells you everything you need to know. And this right here makes it so explicitly clear that nobody could possibly misunderstand, and now nobody will ever have to argue about this. I get it. This is like a very simple situation that I'm describing here, but I really like it when they're like, for example, exactly this. I think that's good in rulebooks. That's what the rulebook is for, is to provide clarity. Positive or negative circumstances, traits, aces, conditions, and equipment can all modify your chances of success. Every +1 adds a die. Every -1 subtracts 1. Okay, so we did see those +1s and -1s where we skipped ahead to the folk last stream, and we were like, we don't even know what that means yet. But it's +1d. You can never roll less than 2 or more than 9. Okay, cool. Just like how VTubers sometimes use a Fugi as a low energy or chill day, you could also use a Fugi, but either way, you are still London, and we will love your streams regardless. You're a sweetheart. Yeah. Yeah. If I'm ever having a low energy day, I'm just not gonna stream. That's the thing about being in the middle of social transition is I'm like, but I want to show myself off. I know it's vain, I get it, but like, you know, when you finally get to see who you truly are after 3 decades. Whatever. It is what it is. I won't be ashamed of it. 1 for 3, 3 for 1. 1 success of a higher kind is worth as much as 3 lower successes. Oh, that doesn't make sense yet. Let's read on. After rolling the dice, you tally up your successes. You score a success when 2 or more of the dice show the same side, regardless of which side it is. There are 5 levels of success. Basic, critical, extreme, impossible, and jackpot. Okay. So, no, this song is too aggressive. Goodbye. So, good excuse for bad hair day? Well, bad hair day, I just put it back. I just put it back and up. Almost did that today, but I was a little more daring. So these map to the difficulties as well in an interesting way. I'm immediately tempted to play with the math of this because at minimum you're going to roll 2 dice, right? And if you're going to get a pair, the first die doesn't matter. The second die has to match it. That's a 1 in 6. And 1 in 6 is a 16.67% chance of success. So if you are like what I would consider untrained in something or bad at it, as in you have no skill points in it, you are running up against a 16% chance of success at like the most basic difficulty. So, not excuse, example, sorry. Oh, yeah. You're all good. For example, if you roll, autocorrect comes for us all. If you roll 4 dice and get 2 clubs, a spade, and a diamond, you have 2 clubs, which means you scored a basic success. If you rolled 5 dice and get diamond, household, heart, diamond, you got yourself 3 diamonds, a critical success. I'm wondering though, can you do like full house stuff? To pass a basic roll, you need a basic success, and to pass an extreme roll, you need an extreme success. There you go. That's hard. The suit makes no difference. Which is good, because there's no way to interact with it. Huh. Okay, so critical, they said, was the lifeblood of the game. 3 of a kind. If you're rolling for 3 of a kind with 3 die, then that's a 1 in 36 chance. So it must just be that the dice pools really go hard. And the things you're good at. Because you could start with 5 in something. 2 in the field and 3 in the skill. That's the most you can start with in Chapter 1. So 5 dice, looking for 3 of a kind. I don't know what the math is on that, but it's still pretty hefty. But then you have your modifiers, your +1s. You do this if you're good at that, yada, yada, yada. So you should be rolling a lot of dice in this game. Okay, 1 success of a higher kind is worth as much as 3 lower successes. This must be if you're tallying successes as a group or something. That means you can use 1 critical success. Oh, there's a new dimension to this. 1 critical as 3 basic. 1 extreme is 3 critical. And 1 impossible is 3 extreme. So 1 to 3. 1 for 3, 3 for 1. Similarly, 3 successes of a lower kind are worth as much as a higher success. That means you can combine 3 basics into 1 critical, 3 critical into 1 extreme, and so on. This doesn't make sense to me unless you are pooling your skill checks as a group together to overcome something. And if that's the case, that's a cool way to do aiding. It's just y'all pooling in. You'll find out why later. Surprise, it's a lot of reroll opportunities. Okay. All right. That's good because, man, the math on that is rough. I rolled 3 hearts, a critical success. There you go. It's a perfect crime. If you score more successes than needed, you can use the extra successes to complete extra actions. Hey, it's like power in Legend in the Mist. If you score a lower success than needed, you can discuss with the narrator how you partially mitigate the consequences of your failure. If you score higher success than needed, the narrator can grant you additional benefits or an outcome even better than what you wanted. If you score a jackpot, you have the right to take control of the game and freely describe an action or scene that ends up with you and your friends achieving what you wanted. You earned this moment in the spotlight. That's cool. You're like, I'm driving now, GM. I rolled 6 of the same face. If, after rolling the dice, you have scored at least 1 basic success, you can choose to re-roll. Re-rolling drastically increases your chances of success, and this means you should think about re-rolling whenever you get a chance. When re-rolling, you take all dice that weren't part of a success and roll them again. Okay. Got it. It's important to remember you cannot choose which dice to keep and which ones to re-roll. You always have to keep all dice that are part of a success and re-roll all of the others, which means there's a curve. Okay. Kind of want to get some d6 out and just demonstrate. So I'm gonna, because I'm allowed. Dice ASMR. Got my Astro Prisma dice because they're the only set I have 5d6 for. Okay, so we are so good at this game. I got a critical success already. I got 3 2s. So, because I got 3 2s, proof, if you can even see them, I could re-roll the 4 and the 6. And there's no reason not to. Like, there's genuinely no reason not to. So you're going to be doing a lot of re-rolling in this game. There's literally no penalty, right? If your reroll did not... Okay, here we go. Here's the risk. On the other hand, if your reroll did not result in a better or additional success, you lose one of the successes from your initial roll. You choose which. For example, if you rolled that... Okay, you... Or a new 2 of a kind. Okay. So it's less risky if you have a basic. It's more risky if it's higher, and that's the curve that I'm talking about. The risk and the reward is steeper as you go up. That's neat how that works out. That's actually kind of cool. Otherwise, you have to give up even your initial basic success. So my question then is, if I roll these 2 dice, I re-roll these, and I don't get a 2, which I did not, does that mean I step it down from a critical to a basic? Or does that mean I lose it entirely? Give me an example that says this, please. I need it. Some traits grant you free rerolls when acting in a certain way. A free reroll takes the place of your normal reroll and offers 2 important advantages. When you make a free reroll, you never risk losing your initial successes. Nice. So that's kind of like just demonstrating your competence in a certain thing. You can make a free reroll even if you score no successes on your first roll. Honestly, if you have anything granting you a free reroll, you have no reason not to reroll every time you can. It's interesting that they built this into the game. They're just like, listen, we like when dice hit the table, so here we go. You miss all the shots you never take. If, after a reroll or a free reroll, you've got a better result than on your first roll, you can still choose to go all in. This means you can roll again all dice that weren't part of a success, much like you would for a normal reroll. If you manage to get a better or extra success, that becomes your new result. However, if you do not get any better or extra success, you lose all previous successes and have to face a terrible failure. Okay. So, yeah, I think crit to basic. That's what I think as well. That's what I think happens. In my example with these 5 dice, I would have lost my critical success and gone back to a basic. However, if I had gotten another 2, and then I wanted to go all in and roll my last die for a 1 in 6 chance of getting another 2, which I did not, I would lose everything and take a failure because it was a subsequent reroll. Pretty straightforward. Pretty straightforward. Modifiers, change your dice. We get that. That makes sense. Raising the stakes. Even if you scored a success, the narrator can decide to raise the stakes and invite you to reroll in exchange for an even better result. Okay, this is kind of poisoned promise, devil's bargain. For example, you're trying to bribe an official and get the basic success needed to succeed. The narrator raises the stakes. If you reroll and gain a better success on top of bribing the official, they will also disclose confidential information to you as evidence of their good faith. Now it's up to you to decide. You can either reroll or settle for your honest success. It's interesting because if you only needed a basic and you scored a critical in the first place, the narrator might have given this to you. But because you didn't get it, they can offer it to you as a temptation, basically. And then you risk losing your basic success. But they would never offer this to you on a free reroll because they can't actually threaten you with reducing your success. So, yeah, push your luck mechanics. For sure. I mean, this all in is push your luck, and then this is your devil's bargain, to use language from other games. Look at the art. Ugh, so good. She is gorgeous. Oh my god. This guy's not happy, though. He's not happy. Tough luck, dude. You messed up somewhere along the way. If you don't score the needed success with your dice roll, not even after the reroll, it means you failed. Failure is never a disastrous event. It's just a different path to success. An unsavory, windy path, certainly, but a path nonetheless. All right, let's see. Let's see this example. Not even a success. With a quick dart of your hand, you grab the key from the soldier's belt. For a second, it seems that you've made it. Then a distracted littling bumps into you and the key slips between your fingers. As the littling tips their hat and makes their heartfelt apology, you see the key getting kicked away from a passerby and through an iron gate. You lift your eyes to see a golden sign, Great Imperial Army Garrison. Yeah. So what this did is it didn't take away the fact that basically the character's competency, even though they scored no successes, they're like, you still stole the key from the soldier. Something went wrong downstream from that. And there's a lot of ways and advice on how to do partial successes and adding complications to rolls and things like that in different games. So, but fail forward is basically the premise here. A good narrator should always describe the failures that won't grind the story to a halt, but instead will give it new chances to proceed in a direction that is unexpected and engaging. Whenever you're describing the result of a failure, choose one or more consequences. Oh, are they going to give us ones? Nice. Negative consequences. Success at a cost. A different way. Yeah, these are very commonly seen in PBTA and Forged in the Dark. Suffering stress. Gain an awkward or hazardous success, but they also suffer stress. I wonder if we're going to get guidance on how much stress to offer. Very fiction-first advice, which I like, yeah. You can spend extra successes to take extra actions on your turn. For example, if you're making a basic action roll to find a book on the shelves of a huge library, and you roll 2 basic successes, you can spend the second success to start reading the book and throw it into the hands of a friend who knows how to translate it, or maybe to hide it in your bag without being noticed. Okay, so you can get Full House type stuff. Nice. Legend of Akrath, yes, but twists. Yeah, I wonder, I don't really know sort of well, I know nothing about Legends of Akrath, but I wonder what design inspirations Ash took from different games. Stress is dictated by the difficulty of the tasks, so you take it on a failure? I guess we'll get to it. Here are some examples. Good examples are great. This is the Marquis Tristan de l'Armès offering his help. I don't know what that accent was, and I'm not going to apologize for it. Giving away a success. When you get extra successes, you can also choose to give away a success to a friend so as to allow them to pass the action roll without rolling the dice. Cool. That's pretty cool. That's like yeah. I like that. I do like it. Reaction rolls. These are going to be pretty straightforward, I would think. Goal is established by the narrator, so it's something, acting upon you. They're going to have difficulties. You're going to roll. This is something you would obviously study more closely if you're going to run or play the game. But as long as we understand it, it's just kind of the same thing in reverse. Granting action is a good way when you can break down successes. Yeah. Yeah, it's cool. It's cool as a group action mechanic too. If you're really good at something, you can do it for people. And by good at something means you roll more dice, which means there's more chance that you have multiple successes, which means you can give those off to more players. I kind of like that. All sorts of consequences there. Oh, suffering stress. Here we go. Character gains an undeserved or partial success while suffering stress. You should opt to give stress when the character's reaction puts them in danger of physical or direct harm, when the failure runs the risk of stopping or derailing the story, or when the consequences would be unsatisfying and not memorable. Yeah, so it's like your default. Like, if you don't have a cool consequence to think up, stress is kind of your pressure release valve for inflicting things on people. Examples are always good. And here's a spider. She's cute too. Everybody's so cute. Even this smug looking gecko is cute. Oh, here we go. Here's the stress. Stress allows you to keep track of your current physical and emotional conditions. Here we go. The amount of stress you suffer depends on the difficulty of the roll you failed. This is kind of wild because this is rolling position, again, referencing Forged in the Dark games, into the difficulty itself. So it's like the difficulty has a built-in position and effect tied into it. It doesn't have that extra spectrum to play with, but you have a lot more control over what you do with the rerolls and how you spend and split successes, that it gives you the nuance in a different arena than Forged in the Dark might. Where Forged in the Dark, you're negotiating what your position is, and therefore like what your consequences, how severe they will be before you even roll the dice. So it's kind of like over there, it's like every roll is a custom difficulty, and over here it's not. It's very prescriptive, and so you know the risks you're facing and you try to mitigate it through different ways. Oh, you can mix and match difficulties, like a critical plus basic, 2 basic, or extreme plus critical. When this happens, you still have to pass the task with a single roll of the dice, plus rerolls. A single cast of the dice, maybe, is what they could have called that. For example, in order to pass a roll of difficulty level critical plus basic, you must score 1 critical success and 1 basic success with the same roll. If you only score basic, you suffer 3. If you only score critical, you suffer 1. Wild. Yeah, this is pretty cool. It takes away a lot of the pre-roll negotiation, and maybe it puts a tinge more on the GM after the roll hits the table because you haven't done that pre-work. But effectively, I think it's the same effort, input, and output. Either way, it's just a different order of it. Overstressed. When you suffer an amount of stress equal to higher than the number of free stress boxes on your sheet, you must fill in all the boxes, and then you're overstressed. In all confidence, so long as you have at least 1 empty stress box, you can feel relatively safe. Whatever the extent of your next failure, the worst that can happen to you is to become overstressed. You can take no more stress, and if you suffer any more stress while overstressed, you have to bow out until the next chapter. Unless one of your friends has a joker that they can use to save you at the last moment, which is like the superhero point. Because the aces are the quote-unquote hero points. Where are they going to talk about the little special stress box? Damage control. When you fail to score the success you need, you can use any smaller successes to do damage control. Okay. That makes sense. Okay, so I'll show you here. So you need to you're going up against an extreme thing. It's 9 stress. You score a basic success, which is not enough, but the value of basics is 1. And so you can deduct 1 stress from that 9, and you'll take 8 instead. Let's say you didn't get an extreme, which is 4 of a kind. You got a critical success. You got 3 of a kind. You can subtract the 3 stress from the 9 and take 6 stress instead. So that's damage control. So there's a really tight connection between... These are incremented sequentially. You need 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6 is a jackpot. And here it's 1, 3, 9, because they're multiples of 3. So impossible would be 27 stress, I think. And that's why it's just immediately overstressed. Like, they don't need to say you get 27 stress because there's not 27 stress boxes. Although, 27 minus 9 is what? 18? And that's still too much, so that's why. I guess if you were going up against an impossible, you needed 5 of a kind, and you rolled a 4 of a kind and a 3 of a kind and a 2 of a kind in the same giant roll. So that's how many dice would that be? 9? Let's say you got that. And you could damage control up to 13 of it, but still 13 off of 27 is 14, and I think that's still more than you have stress boxes. Which is why I don't like hiding difficulty in the game. Yeah, it's a gotcha, silly thing to do. Absolutely should not be done. In my opinion. The whole thing about like, oh, the tension at the table. I'm like, the game itself should create the tension. Transparently and open and in the open air. That's my take. All right, so we get that. Removing stress when you rest. You can remove all of it. A moment's respite. You get rid of accumulated. What's the difference? Did I miss something? Accumulated stress, is that something different than all stress? I don't understand. You remove all stress when you finish a page or chapter. I really think they should have been called pages. In chapter 2, you can remove all stress. A boggart dealing with some pesky roaches. Here's the crucial box. The 8th stress box looks different from the others. That is because it is a crucial box. When you fill in the crucial box, it means that the stress is beginning to get to you. You immediately suffer a condition appropriate to the circumstances as determined by the narrator. For example, okay. And it triggers other stuff sometimes. Cool. Clear enough. Bowing out means they gotta leave the chapter. But they don't die, unless you want them to, presumably. If you have a joker, you can play it to step in at the last second and stop one of your friends from having to bow out. You cannot play a joker to save yourself. I like that. If you had to bow out, you can discuss with the narrator how you will return on the scene at the beginning of the next chapter. Maybe you escaped from prison or found your way out of the in-betweens after weeks or months. Maybe you made a miraculous return after everyone believed you were lost or dead. In some situations, if it works with the story, the narrator can even allow a character to return on the scene at the start or end of a paragraph. Okay, so that's if the characters take explicit actions to get them back, generally, is when you would probably do that. Okay, now, we're not going to go into the weeds on these skills, but they're here for you. Arcadia Obera Nova as the Ace of Hearts. I forget what this was called. This was under the criminals. Was it Courtesan? The ones that have the painted red wings that they wear? Academia skills. That dude looks cool. Wise Paracelsus. Oh, it's Paracelsus. I don't exactly remember what his whole deal was, but he's a big NPC. I know that. Field of War. That's going to be this homeboy. Yeah, Brave Spine. He's on the cover. Oh, they're all... This art is all done with the suits, too. I missed that. Of course, the diamond. Yeah. Clubs for the hearth. And then here's the... Yep. This is going to be what's-his-face. Capitano Rolomonte. Yeah. I like saying that guy's name. I do. Moves are special skills typical of each profession. Some allow you to do things without rolling the dice. Yup. Art makes that go burr. It's good art. It's really good art. You can use every move at your disposal once per session. Okay. If you want to repeat a move, you can do it by playing an ace. Yeah. The suit symbol next to the name of the move indicates which ace you can play. So we were right. We were correct. It was the only thing that made sense. So, aces are special resources. You can gain +1, repeat a move, remove a condition, change the approach. After failing an action roll, you still have to change the approach narratively, which is cool. Presumably immediately, without having to do a whole, like, the key gets kicked under the gate kind of a thing. It's like, well, now I'm going to dive in and try and keep that from happening using a different approach. Very good. All right. Beginning of each chapter, every player receives 2 aces in the suits tied to their profession and vocation. And the fields in which they already have 2 points, because that's how that works. The narrator is also tasked with rewarding memorable actions and brave or fruitful choices by giving them an ace of a relevant suit. When a player has a brilliant idea, when they masterfully interpret their character... This is great. When they masterfully interpret their character. Reward a player with an ace win. And then a lot of good examples. When everyone cheers. That's such a cool guidance. That's really cool. Obviously, some of this is like very subjective. When they deserve a good reward. It's like, well, aren't these all supposed to be the conditions upon which they deserve a good reward? So why would you write that one? But whatever. Anyway, that's me being nitpicky. Jokers are an even more precious resource than aces. You can play them to truly gain unbelievable benefits. Gain one of the following effects. Gain an extreme success instead of rolling the dice. Save a friend who's about to bow out. Remove one condition of any kind. Replace an ace by playing a joker instead. Sounds good. Narrator can reward a player by giving them a joker like they would by giving an ace. The narrator should grant a joker when any other ace would not be enough to properly represent the deeds and successes of a player. Guidance. If nobody at the table has a joker, it might be time for you to give one. If half of them already have a joker, you might be more sparing. Huh. Interesting. Help and hindrance. Having something helpful can increase your chances. Having something hindering can be an obstacle. These are kind of position in Forged in the Dark terms. So items and equipment we saw grant some of these things. Decorum can be this. Other characters. Experiences and memories can be tapped. There you go. There's the mechanics. Interesting. That's cool. Very cool. Okay. When you can rely on the help of someone or something, you gain one of these benefits. Gain +1 to action or reaction. Gain a success without rolling the dice. What kind of success? Gain the requisites to make an action roll that you wouldn't normally be able to make. There are a lot of modifiers to juggle in this game, I'll be honest. And I'm sure it would become second nature. Like, you know, you're going to have all your reroll options. You know, you have your aces to consider. You have other characters who can help you by giving successes. You have, oops, just scrolled way too far. Oh, I scrolled way too far. Where am I? I'm so lost. Help. Help and hindrance. Yeah. It's interesting that help, you know, because they could have just said help gives you a +1. Equipment can do it. Abilities can do it. Decorum can do it. It's a +1. Oh, gain a success. I wonder, well, without rolling the dice, though, what does that mean? I don't understand it. I'm sure there's examples out there. Hindrance. Suffer -1. Get a failure without rolling the dice. Need additional help to make a roll. It's the opposite. And I know you get a lot of these hindrances from the terrible things, or whatever they're called, the 3 Ts. Helping. Character can offer you their help. So that's your aid mechanic. Secondary characters and animal companions can be helpful. Some archetypes for you. Conflicts. Extended rolls. What is this? Oh, okay. Skill challenges, basically. A series of rolls made one after the other in order to reach a single goal. Got it. That's journey mechanics from Legend in the Mist as well. Combat. Like you, opponents have a set number of stress boxes when the narrator filled in all of the boxes the opponent is defeated. So that's your combat mechanic. And you're going to have presumably abilities and equipment that are going to deal a certain number of stress. On the next page, you'll find the sheet for a rat. And then an appendix for opponents, and then weak spots. We do have an initiative. Interesting. An action turn or a reaction turn. That's interesting. So it's side-based initiative. And basically, the narrator chooses. And They can roll. All players act and react simultaneously. That's nice, because that means you can do this in play by post with block initiative, and you don't have to fuss with war rooming, because you don't have to go back and forth between sides, of course. You love to see it. Okay, so this is neat too, because look, you can have the crucial stress boxes in multiple stages of different enemies and give them a different feel as you mark stress on them. So you hit the 3rd stress on the rat, it's going to take a condition, or I forget what the other things that crucial success could do. Moves Tail Whip, then Rage. And they have special moves. This is actually a better use of the word moves than the way PBTA uses moves. These are actually moves. Like combat moves, you know? Traits: Beast Huge, Double Trouble, Filthy. Optional traits: Triple Threat, Counterattack. And then, yeah, we have a randomizer for their actions. So that helps make this soloable, Zach, if you're still here. Because you can just roll for what they do. This is so straightforward. It just tells you narratively what it does, and then it tells you what to react with. Which is kind of like it attacking your skills. So all of your skills become your defenses. There it is. There it is. This is really neat. During an action turn, all players are free to decide and take their actions as normal. You can use your action to attack, to talk to them, or find their weak spot. Oh wait, where's the weak spot? Is that not listed here? Or is that a generic thing? It does look pretty similar to Loa. Cool, cool. All action rolls made to interact with an opponent use the war field and have a difficulty level equal to the opponent's difficulty. Do we have a difficulty here? Oh, critical opponent. There you go. So you're going to have 4 different difficulty tiers. So you need to, anything you do, you need to get a critical success to actually inflict probably the hit, is what I'm going to assume. The most common skill you will have to use to attack an opponent is fight. However, there's no limit on the skill you can call into play to face an opponent, so long as your interpretation can justify your choice. Good. For example, if you want to strike a mercenary with your Great Scissor, you can roll Fight plus War, but if you want to throw them off with a feint, you can roll Dexterity plus War. If you want to collapse a precarious scaffolding on them, you can roll Craft plus War. Love that. It all causes stress, and because stress is not explicitly just your health mechanic, you don't have to justify that I'm damaging them. Stress is just accumulated challenge, and when you hit the last one is when you're defeated. So that's very similar to how the fortune system works in the new Sage, as well as the new Wardens of the Blue Rose, so I like that. If you score a success, opponent suffers 1 stress. That's it, huh? Oh, okay. Okay, wait. As usual, you can spend extra or greater successes to make extra actions or deal an increased amount of stress to your opponent. If you attack a basic opponent and score a critical success, you can deal 3 stress. So it's the 139. If you attack a basic opponent and score a extreme success, you can deal 9 stress in 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So if you got a impossible success against the rat, you would take it out in 1 shot. I like this. This is cool. This is cool. Yeah, those rats are pretty gnarly. Very cool art. When an opponent fills in a crucial box, they immediately use a move. Oh. They use crucial boxes differently. So they have their normal actions. So on the reaction turn, you roll for this or choose it. Roll for this. Players react. When they get triggered into a stress, they immediately do this. Let's read these quick. A quick swipe of the tail threatens to knock down the characters. Characters who don't pass a critical reaction roll in Grace plus War fall to the ground. Characters on the ground must use their action to stand back up. Until they do, they suffer -1 to all rolls. This is neat too, because this is not prone mechanics, and it's not penalty mechanics that apply across the entire game. These are just, can't think of the word, but they are tied directly to this opponent. And so the game doesn't need to have all the things that a grid-based tactical combat game has, like prone, off guard, flanked, all these things that are prescriptive and dictated, because it can just put them into the moves themselves. The moves trigger when you trigger them by beating the crap out of these things. Rage. The hair on the back of the rat stands up as it hisses. From now on, characters have -1 to all action rolls made to attack. Use this one first if you're the GM, because it's a debuff that's going to last for the next 6 stress you take. Anyway, that's fun. That's fun because as a GM, you get to be tactical with stuff. I like it. You know what I think? I think I would probably like Fabula Ultima more if it was this. Speaking of how we talked the other day about me looking at Fabula Ultima someday to try and figure out what it is about it that I don't kind of vibe with. I think this exact system as it is could do a great JRPG style campaign. Yeah, in fact, the more I think about it, the more so much of this you could port directly over. Like just straight over. So it's wild because we've been looking at Household. Last stream we looked at the Household, the setting, and I was like, you could do a ton of different systems to play in the Household setting. Take Legend of the Mist in Household, I think you'd have a great time. And now I'm saying you could take the mechanics of Household and throw them over here to this other system and have a better time there too. So it's scoring a lot of points. Scoring a lot of points with me. Some opponents are especially large. Multiple difficulties. Yep, makes sense. I mean, I would say, like, I'm not getting the impression anywhere that this is a quick and easy game to pick up. There's a lot to be mindful of. When to set difficulties at what types, when to use multiple difficulties, etc., etc. So there's a lot going on. Hey Zep, how you doing? Some mechanics, and I was, ooh, yes, please. Yeah, definitely go back and catch the rest of this VOD, or go back and do 2x speed or whatever you got to do, because this has been great. It's so wild to me because I like the setting and I like the mechanics and I like them independently of one another. To my mind, they don't even inherently need to go together, which is something that you kind of come to expect in certain things, but they just both seem to stand up so well on their own, that in a way that I don't know that I've really seen many other places, games, systems. Ironically, it's the setting that was holding me back on this. I've been wondering if I could take most of the setting and just place it in a fantasy phase setting, but now I think it would at least be able to, I'd be up to playing in it as a player. Well, Zach, Thaddeus said that he might run it on London Station if you want to play in it. So, that might be happening. Maybe there's a quick start or a one-shot. Thaddeus, if you're still here, I wonder. Because that might be fun. I know you've got a full plate. You're doing like 200 games. As usual, if you do not score all needed successes, you can use any successes rolled to do damage control. Loving the lore and culture stuff, the history, but the borrower aspect was the thing holding me back. It's not, I was going to pull up that sheet. Thaddeus shared a sheet of like clarifications after Volume 1 came out. So even the scissors and the coins and everything, they are not actually the scissors from the house. They are like created as like an homage and a representation to the people who were in the house. So it's not like, oh, we just find and scavenge all these things and we make do with them. They're like a full-on normal like society with manufacturing and forging and smithing and everything, just like in any fantasy world. It's just that they're in this gigantic house. It's wild. You read those. Okay, cool. Thaddeus is out in after September. Okay. Well, I guess you already know. Victory and defeat. You know how victory's going to work. We probably know how defeat's going to work because you bow out because it's all tied to stress. And leaving combat, you can try and run, it looks like. Illusion plus war to try to leave the combat. If you're the only player in combat, you suffer -1 to the roll. Do you get to bring your allies with you? Okay. All right. I hear you. The opponent's stress reach a crucial box. They make their moves. If a move calls for a roll by the players, the normal succession of turns is interrupted and the roll must happen immediately. That makes sense. A group of characters fighting together can only face one opponent at a time. Whenever there's more than one opponent on the scene, the characters only face the strongest opponent, while the narrator can consider a weaker opponent as a hindrance if that seems relevant to the story. That's a neat way to do balance. They're just like, just don't worry about it. Alternatively, the narrator can ask the characters to face the opponents one immediately after the other, or divide the characters in 2 groups and have them face an opponent each. Oh, that's so cool. That's so cool. Yeah, could you imagine if you had like 3... Okay, spiders are huge in this, but like I'm just thinking of spiders. Imagine you had like a party of 4, and you had like 3 spiders surrounding them, and you're like, you guys can divide up how you choose. You can do 2-on-1, and 1-on-1 and 1-on-1, or like however you want to do it, but like we're going to do them all separately. Or you could say one after another, you have to take them all down. Seems like a ton of games are trying to do a matching pool systems thing lately. Outgunned, Flail, Hollow Point. Well, Outgunned is made by 2 Little Mice, so same people. I don't know. I've never heard of Flail or Hollow Point. I don't know that I'm particularly fond of like the matching. Like I don't think, like numerically, I think it plays out pretty well. Look, I got 2 basic successes. Which means I have a 32% chance of upgrading with a reroll. Haha. I failed, so I lost 1. So I only got 1 success. So I don't know that I really love the feel of it, if I'm honest. I love the effect that it generates. I love the results. I love the interactivity that there is with it. I think if I were to choose between this and the age systems dice mechanic, I would prefer the age systems, because it's a little more like the dice hit the table and you're done. And one of the dice tells you like what your drama die result is, and yeah, you can spend things to change the numbers, but you're not rolling again. So it's just quicker, cleaner, I guess. But there is a lot of abilities that grant you free rerolls and everything like that. So it's really about just engaging with the throwing of the dice. Okay, here's the weak spot. An opponent might have a weak spot you can take advantage of. Okay. There's moves that help you find weak spots. Each weak spot is different and they grant specific benefits. Here's an example. There is an unstable structure nearby you can knock over by rolling Craft plus War. If you're successful, the opponent suffers 2 stress. Does the weak spot have its own difficulty, or is it tied to the challenge? Because this might look like, oh, it's only 2 stress, but like every normal hit only does 1 stress, unless you upgrade it with other successes. So this is basically an opportunity to like, you found its weak spot, you know exactly a combination of something you can do to double up your effectiveness. That's kind of cool. But you have to spend a turn to find it, so it's like, I don't know. I would hope the weak spots give you more than 2 in most cases. I would think 3 would be a better exchange for that. Oh, but here we go. Some moves like the Duelist move, Cunning Tactics, allow you to find an opponent's weak spot without having to roll the dice or use up your action. So then interacting with weak spot is a thing that certain professions and specializations can spec into. That's cool. Attacking at a distance. You don't necessarily take part in combat. You can be excluded from the reaction turn, and you have a hindrance whenever you shoot. That's kind of like having a backline mechanic. And once again, I'm thinking like, yeah, this could just be how you play Fabula Ultima. Personally, I kind of think that might be the thing. But I think the thing with Fabula Ultima is it's very much like, I'm going to deal 10 bolt damage, plus 5 bolt damage, because I'm holding this special item. And like, it's just very much more JRPG-ish. Whereas maybe I want the flavor of JRPG without JRPG mechanics. Maybe that's what I want. Someday we'll learn about me and Fabula Ultima. Make a trade. When you're about to suffer stress, especially if this happens during an especially memorable or dramatic scene, you can make a trade with the narrator. Instead of getting more stress, you could put forth that you suffer a condition, lower your level of decorum. Okay, so you can negotiate. Yep. Only in extraordinary and memorable situations, and always free to choose whether to accept or not. Shooting. So we have range mechanics, and I'm sure they're great. They're not so critical that I need to look at them. Brawl. A brawl is much simpler than a combat scene. It resolves quickly and without heavy consequences. This is like an abbreviated fight. Holy crap, that dude grabbed that whole guy by the face. Oh, because he went Juggernaut. Yep, that makes sense. That makes sense. You never bow because of a simple brawl. Nice. Nice. And a duel. So like one-on-one things. It's neat that they have these little extra mechanics for different conflict types. I'm sure they're very cool. I'm sure they're great. When you duel, you do not look at successes as usual. Your goal is to gain a better success than your opponent. Huh. Fair. It's a totally separate combat system. But I guess it's one that you can do ad hoc. Like, you don't have to have a challenge stat block, I guess you'd call it. So you can just throw those out at any time. Very interesting. Very interesting. You can re-roll. Optional rule for strong and weak spots. Mysterious challenger. The narrator can choose to keep tensions even higher by keeping their dice roll secret. Oh, yeah, I guess they could. I wouldn't. Conditions and decorum. I'll be real with you. This is the last section of this chapter. But I'm not so fixated in the mechanics of like this. I'm like, yeah, they're here. This is great for me as a reference tool if I'm actually running the game. But I don't think I'm going to have anything like super in-depth to say. Again, this is not a base camp stream, which would be where we're really digging in. We'd probably make a character and do all sorts of stuff. Getting a condition. When you fail a roll, when you want to gain +1 and willingly choose to suffer a condition to get it, and when you reach the crucial box. Removing a condition. When you can rest, make specific rolls, pay coins, interact with your friends. You can remove a maximum of 2 conditions per day. If you fail an attempt, it has to stick around until the next day. And when you try to do it on your own, you always have a -1. Character creation? Not today, buddy. Not today. I gotta go to work tonight. Conditions as clarified by littlings. Frightened? Harmed? Confused? I forget what the social one was. Oh, embarrassed. Oh, tired, not harmed. Oh no, it was hurt. It was hurt. Sorry, guys. Sorry. Tune in again, maybe. Maybe we'll do a third household stream. I don't know. There's so much out there to do. So yeah, conditions do specific things, and that's fine and well. General conditions. Less common conditions that don't figure on the sheet. Feel free to come up with new conditions when you think they make your adventure more fun and engaging. Yeah, that's a nice place to like play in the GM space. Why not? Custom conditions. You know, like, oh, you're going through the steam vents and like, I don't know, you have like heat stroke as a condition you can add in. It's kind of very nicely customizable. And then we have our decorum. 5 levels, they go up and down. They can be helpful or hindering depending on the circumstances. Sometimes if you're in the seedy underbelly, you don't want to be elegant. Is this supposed to be the same? This is great art. This is supposed to be the same character. So, there he is at, what do we call this? Uncouth. This is an uncouth guy. And then shabby. And then on and on. Oh, look, chocolat. And this guy's standing on top of a champagne cap, because of course he is. That's cool how they did that. Losing decorum. A lot of different ways you can lose it. And then different guidance on how to raise it. Wash yourself in your clothes in a puddle or under a leak from the piping, or take a good warm bath in a simple tub at the price of 1 coin. Really tells you how bad uncouth is. Give yourself a good once-over in a well-equipped bath and buy some new clothes, or pay a visit to the barber or hairdresser and have them clean you up for 2 coins. That's cool diegetic progression, too. It's like, I'm going to go get a haircut so that I can increase my decorum. That's funny. Even more expensive. Or make a critical roll in Grace plus Academia to style yourself or a friend. So you can have a party member, like, do you up. Like, dude, you need a makeover. If you fail, the unfortunate littling still raises their decorum, but they also suffer the ridiculous condition. Brutal. That's brutal. requires gala clothes. The Grand Galloping Gala. Another letter. And then we're back to contracts, which is where we skipped to in the last stream. We looked at equipment and wealth. We looked at the household history. We did not look at the saga. We did skip to the house. So saga is going to be really the last piece of this for us today, I think. Yes. But really, this is probably going to tell us things we kind of already know in more detail. The fragile peace is the 5-year historical period in between warring, apparently. Does it tell you how it ends? I don't know. Maybe in another book. The purpose of this game goes beyond simply having fun together and living great adventures with fellow historians. The main reason we play is so we can recreate the story of important characters whose names haven't made it into the history books. All the experiences you retell and recreate with your friends will come together to outline the great saga of your characters, a collective story spanning over the 5 years of the Fragile Peace. Falbolt only ever has one kind of damage for an in attack. I think something in your comment got eaten by the autocorrect. Saga is made up of 5 chapters. We know that. After your group has played through all paragraphs in a chapter, it's time to advance to the next chapter. Ooh, stained glass art. Cool. Very cool. Each chapter in this saga is roughly equivalent to 1 year of the Fragile Peace and includes 1 or more events known as paragraphs. So is this actually an adventure put in the book? Or is it about adventures? There's Julia again. Okay, guidance on what to do if you have different party sizes. Historical events. So these are the things you're working around. It's okay, Zach. It's okay. Don't panic. I won't do my rant again. I don't know why there's a separate book. Yeah, well, I know there's definitely a separate saga book, if not more than one. So these things are true of every playthrough. These are just the facts, right? Okay. Oh, there is experience. What? I did not expect that. Okay, we need to look at this. Yeah, so we'll come over here for just a second. I traditionally do not like adventures in books, core rule books. I just they irritate me, and we've been over it before. But if there had been one in this book, I'm going to blow your mind, Zach. If there had been one in this book, I don't think it would have bothered me. Because so much of the setup is about this being like a very... Well, I don't know, though. I mean, they did exactly what you would need them to do, which is they covered the firm and unmoving history in the setting. And then the game is all about, making your own thing. So maybe I would have been annoyed by an adventure. Maybe I would have been. I don't know. I know. It's like I can have different opinions on different days. There is an adventure in the back of this book, though, and I immediately go like, grr. Never trust me. I never know what I'm saying. Each adventure leaves an indelible mark on your character's life. Each meeting and argument, each tear and smile goes on to become tiles in a beautiful mosaic that tells their personal story. Keeping track of your character's development is all around useful, but is also arguably the reason for this game. In the end, your story is just a sequence of unforgettable experiences which have shaped you, making you the littling you are today. Manage characters' growth using experiences. Represent the moments of a chapter that you're bound to remember. They can later come into play and be either of help or hindrance on your adventures. Your character growth, on the other hand, represents how they have matured with the passing years, advancing from one chapter to the next milestone. You'll have a chance to grow your character's skills and gain new traits and moves that will help them be unique. Yeah, we knew that, but experiences are short sentences. Okay, so these are just guidance. Gotcha. Achievements, scars, bonds, and reputation. So these are just examples. Okay, I got it. I thought we were going to get into some sort of like 4 separate tracks of experience tracking or something like that. They do call them experiences as well, which is interesting. Help and hinder, we know how that works. Gaining an experience, we know how that works. Here's examples. That's great. That's very beautiful. My God. Clockminster. Look at the sign with the fork stuck in the ground. That's cool. Somebody's riding a mouse and somebody's riding a snail. It's just so cool. Very cool. Litha Flamel and Humphrey Lockwood parting ways at a crossroad. We should find out the name of Zach's crush here, and then we should Control F and see how many pieces of art they show up in. That's what we should do. Character growth. When you advance, you get 2 skill points. And then it's prescriptive. Like when you go to from one chapter to another, you learn moves. So it's kind of like a level structure, but it's by the passage of story, which is neat. When advancing to the epilogue, you earn no skill points, no traits, and no moves. Memories. So here you have it. That's it. That's all you need to know. That's how you level up in this game. You level up in the game by playing the game, and eventually you get more skill points and a move, or a trait, or a move, or a trait. Simple. That was it. The only other thing I wanted to look at was weak spots. So, weak spot grants +1 to a single roll or gives you a chance to attempt a flashy maneuver to your advantage. Oh, so it's either or. They are created on the spot. Choose the weak spot table they will use. What's happening here? Where's the weak spot table? Okay, so this is a double roll. Let's do one. Let's do one just for the heck of it. So we got a 5 and a 1. So, the opponent's position is exposed. You can attack with shoot +1. So you can randomize these and get like little things you could do. You could also make your own. You can make your own tables. You can make your own on the spot, or you could just say you get +1 to a roll if you want to do it simply. Okay, so that's why the weak spot was not on the thing for the mouse. So we have symbols here too, and this is neat too. I wonder if the symbols tell you where they are, or are they all spiders? Spiders to represent danger. Okay, it's all spiders. It's all spiders all the way down. But I want to look at something. Let's look at some wasps. They look angry. Moves Warbuzz. Traits Beast, Double Trouble, Flying, Venomous. And again, like the actions are just like basically like this is what you're going to be defending with. And that's it. The wasps fly around you studying your moves. They don't attack. So potentially you might have times where they don't do stuff. Violent and Territorial. Just like stuff you need to know. And here's their special move. They unleash a powerful and deafening buzz that makes even thinking hard until the end of combat. You can no longer play aces for any reason. So once you get them to 4, no more aces in combat, which could be brutal if the wasps are the start of a sequence of combats. Earwigs, eesh, yuck. Centipedes, duelists, critical opponent. Oh man, look how many moves they have. You got 3 crucial boxes, so they're going to have 3 moves. Parry, they ignore the next successful attack against them. Disarm, they disarm the character who made them fill in the crucial box. Fluster, they mock them. Try to undo their pants, pull their hats on their faces, or embarrass them by getting in their way. React with grace + war. Characters who fail become embarrassed. That's silly. That is silly. This is so clean, though. My god. What a clean way to do enemies in combat. Soldiers. Let's see if we can find something that's a little harder. Hornets. Let's go even harder. Rats are a critical. Large spider, critical opponent with 4 spider difficulty measurements. Sorry if you're not a spider person. I won't keep the picture up there. moves. Cobweb volley or slam, then pylon, then cobweb volley, then pylon. Okay, so they alternate. Interesting. It's prescriptive on what they do. Okay, but again, react, 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 react. So these are like narrative positioning things because it's theater of the mind. You don't need a grid. And that's very cool. As if common spiders weren't enough, the house is also home to too many large spiders, hiding their lairs in the in-betweens. Tarantulas are huge, hairy arachnids that roam the lands of the horde, camouflaging with the rusted walls of the basement. Wolf spiders, on the other hand, are unusually strong beasts. Luckily, they at least produce no cobwebs. That's why you have a separate list of moves here. Because depending on which kind of spider it is, it's either going to have this or have this. And then there's traits. Actual traits. I wonder where those are. Honor Guard, critical opponent, master duelists. Spurred centipede. Goldenbacks. Okay, we gotta read this. Pride of the realm. The most noble, most decorated fairies have a chance to renew their hereditary contract in a solemn ritual that takes place in the shade of the great window. Thanks to this ritual, they gain the gift of true flight, the ability to fly without limitations and at great speed. The best among them also receive a precious set of armor made from golden schafer with elytra that protect their wings without impeding their flight. These blonde knights, called as such after the color of the plumes on their helmets, are the pride of the realm and represents the main assault force of the great imperial army. They are usually employed in defense of the airspace near a highlight and in the outhold, but they can also be put in charge of small groups of soldiers in any nation of the house. Thanks to the Astravia Treaty, the Golden Backs now have more decisional power than any other officer in any other army of the household, with the exception of generals. Neat. I just learned that Household Volume 2 opens it up to the garden. Maybe that could be how I get out of the house. Yeah. Well, actually, in the little banner I have on the bottom of the screen right now is from Volume 2. I just couldn't quickly find a non-Volume 2 thing to grab. So those guys are kind of awesome. That's very crazy. This, like, mace that's made out of a key facing 4 different ways. Janissaries. Cinder Knights. That is a Cinder Knight. Look at that guy. Man, that's cool. You know the wild thing is, too? I also talk all the time about how I don't care about monsters and monster design and monster books. And, like, looking at these, I'm just like, I wonder what neat thing they do with their crucial boxes. So something about this way of doing monsters in games is really speaking to me. Oh, this is new, too. Look at this. This one says react with caution -1. So you can have reactions that are extra powerful. Okay, hold the phone. We gotta look at this in the 2-page. These are 2 separate stat blocks. Giant Centipede's tail and giant centipede. And they split the art across 2 pages. That's hilarious. That is very funny. Legs of the huntsman spider and the huntsman spider. Because they're so big and you're so little that you're literally only attacking a piece of them at a time. That's wild. That's so cool. And here's your introductory adventure. Oh, it's just a one-shot kind of thing. Okay, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. It's how many pages? 2, 4, 6, 8. 8 pages. I was worried it would be a full campaign. This is tolerable. It's tolerable. Pride and Prejudice and Centipedes. Okay, let's read about spiders really quick. Because I know somebody the other day was like, oh, it kind of seems like the spiders are like the dragons of the setting. Why can I not for the life of me? There we go. So let's read about this quick. Out of all the creatures in the household and outhold, few could boast the same respect afforded to spiders. To be absolutely clear, we are talking of the off-putting kind of respect usually reserved for the most disgusting and terrifying creatures. Spiders lived in the bedtime stories for unruly or naughty children. They haunted the nightmares of those who crossed their path and generally represented the ideal benchmark for everything ugly, unpleasant, and evil. So came to be idioms like son of a spider and ugly as spiders and other expressions that would be unfit to repeat here. We're going to pause because spiders are good guys in real life, and I actually kind of don't like how they're casting them as like this horribly villainous thing. So I don't know if they have like good little spiders in here, but I frequently talk about the spiders in my stream. I don't see any today, but I've got little hunting spiders where I live, and they're cool dudes, and they eat bugs and stuff, and they're awesome. And sometimes I even let them, like when they get stuck in the sink, I'll let them crawl up on my hand, and I'll help them get out, because they're cool. So anyway, don't take this as like, spiders are evil and should be all killed, because they're actually very good creatures. This part is what would prevent Cheeky from playing LOL. And you could probably reskin them. Just say they're dragons and just change all the spiders to dragons and you'll be fine. Safe to say that nobody, and I mean nobody, liked spiders, with the only exception of those slaw who had learned the proper husbandry to raise them for their milk, poison, meat, and in some rare instances as steeds. See? Okay, so they can be raised. Among those arachnites, hell yeah, that's so cool. That's the greatest made-up word I've ever seen in my life. Arachnites? Love it. We remember Mortimer Arluino, who was thrown from the saddle and eaten by his mount. Okay, so they're not that domesticated. Agatone, aka the Silk Knight, whose mummified half-digested body still proudly sits on his spider. Yikes. Calerio, 2.5 Tooth, poisoned by his fierce steed. Aetherius Horatius Snowsong, who mysteriously vanished after aiding his spider mare during delivery, as well as others. While people generally avoid speaking about spiders long enough to separate them by name or species, every littling knows the most feared spiders in the house are 3, and that there are only 2 people to have allegedly seen them all, Kublai Khan and Capitano Rodomante. Undoubtedly, the most infamous of all spiders was Reginella, the ever-pregnant mother of spiders and keeper of all manner of contracts signed with the household forces. Some say she once was a tiny spider, smaller than a speck of dust when she came to the house, and that Khan himself had brought her along from the lost regions of far beyond. Regardless of the truth, it was determined that killing her would put an end to the spider scourge, and many goldenbacks went to challenge her over the years. That is probably the reason why her lair is also known as the Golden Hell. Whoa, that's badass. So true. Arachnites! A moment later. Arachnites. The tallest and smartest spider was no doubt Longleg, who was defeated and maimed in single combat by Rodomante. Everyone knows that Capitano took the spider's leg and turned it into a lethal spear like the household has seldom seen. Longleg's Longleg went on to strike through and chase away the white dragon in the Battle of Quillwaters, but that is a different story. Finally, there was the biggest and strongest of all spiders, known as Rat Chomper for pretty obvious reasons. Nobody knew the location of his lair. Indeed, few cared to find out. They agreed he probably slept for long periods at a time, and that he only awoke to eat, undoubtedly in abundance, once every 6 or 7 years, but people met him even more sparsely than that. At the time of the Fragile Peace, many had begun to believe he never existed, but they would soon be proven wrong. Dun dun dun! Anyway, if you consider that in the end Longleg decapitated Kublai Khan, certainly under orders of the Capitano, you can safely state with approximate certainty that Rodomante was the only littling in history and in the household to have seen the 3 great spiders and survive. This is why many referred to him as Spider Lord, stodgy, half-spider, and more quietly, if I may, the next meal. So, that, my friends, is going to do it for us and household. A gnarly spider story. Anyway, I say all of that because I don't want to encourage people to like kill spiders, frankly. Obviously, we all have to protect our households and our families, and if there's spiders around that are going to cause you trouble, you got to do what you got to do. I do have a rule with spiders, is that there's a speed limit, and if a spider exceeds the speed limit, then I'm like, you did it. You went too fast. And there's something about speed with spiders that I'm like, no, that was your last shot. So, it's like, in Minecraft, when they like introduce new creatures, like when they introduced the axolotl, they were like, this is an endangered species, and they wanted to like bring people's attention to them and like conservation efforts to protect their habitats. Same thing with when they did the Buzzy Bees upgrade in 1.15. They wanted to draw attention to the plight of bees at large, and making sure that people understood that they're such an important part of the ecosystem and everything. I just realized whatever. So,
to the degree that this game is saying, okay, spiders are the villains, and we can work with that. That's fine. But also, like, you know, I don't know. I just don't want it to sit out there as like a commentary on spiders. You don't have to like them either. They can creep you out, and you could wish they were everywhere else, and you could capture them in a cup and throw them outside, and that's all fine and well. But anyway, the next meal. Anyway, I hope you all had a good time hanging out, talking about Household. Very cool game. I guess we'll see if it's going to get run on London Station server. It very well might. Probably not by me. I got so many things on my plate to run, but you never know. Maybe it'll line up with my schedule and I'll play in it. Who knows? But thank you to Thaddeus for recommending the game. Got 2 whole streams out of it, which means it's good. Thank you to Zach, who is a menace, and once again, made this cute thing that I'm gonna now have to use all over the place. Where did it go? I've got to add it to this overlay. That's why. Sorry. Look at it. Look how cute it is. A teehee. So anyway, I appreciate y'all being here. Again, it's 4th of July weekend. Stay safe. Continue to stay safe. And I hope you got a little bit of a recharge from your normal social life, work week, whatever kind of stuff that you're heading into. But yeah, that'd be great. It's fan art. Yeah, what about it? You're still a menace. Maybe a third if you want to cover the garden. I don't. Kinda don't. Maybe like a year from now, I'll be like, you know what? We should go back to Household. It's a lot to process. So, it's a lot. Gosh, you guys are like all about the heart emoji reactions today or whatever you're doing. The VTubers are in chat. That's what's happening. Anyway, appreciate y'all. Love y'all so much. I know like most of my homies who are normally streaming on Sundays with me are here in chat because for various reasons they weren't streaming. So happy to have you here. That means there's nobody for me to raid. So, is what it is. We will just fade off into the rest of our Sundays. And again, be safe. Take care of yourselves. Love y'all so much. The store listing for the garden volume had a huge owl fight, meaning fewer spider enemies, perhaps. Maybe that's where you go if you don't want the spiders. But, that said, I'll release you to your Sundays. And we'll see you next time on London Station. Bye.